lens towards Showmaker here from Nongshim Red Force. With the current lane performance of Scout and Showmaker's insane performances that we've seen thus far this season, even beating Roamer, who's relatively unknown, his whole thing was winning lane and solo queue. Like, that's like 90% of what solo queue is about. Half the time your game can just be decided by all your solo laners winning, and then like the jungle's like, all right, cool, I guess I play the game better because my solo laners are winning, and there's not necessarily team voice or comms or anything like that going on. So, you know, you could put summoner spells in the chat and stuff like that. But my point is, Showmaker is looking really good. We will put those asterisks in, but so far, we see the Malphite ban here from Nongshim Red Force. They do have first pick, and the Yunara ban will follow, and they'll even take away Lucid's Vi. So Showmaker actually completely unchained here.
Yeah, and Jace remains on the permaban list.
Let's see what they want to grab, because Orianna is banned, so it feels like
Rumble.
You probably would have... Yeah,
this is, I would say, an error, Wolf. Would you say this is an error?
I don't necessarily know, because Showmaker gets Rise now.
He does, but then you get Rumble Talia. And Pantheon, perhaps.
Remember how... Okay, so I think Scout has been one of our best Talia players. If not, he had the best individual performance on Talia, let's say, in week 1. But we have seen so many games of Rise versus Talia where the Talia just doesn't get to show up.
True.
And Showmaker is probably going to win that lane. So that's, in terms of like what we've seen in draft, giving Rumble over seems like a mistake, especially because it's Kingen, right? But in terms of what they get in return for D plus Kia, as a D plus Kia Predator myself, I feel pretty good about this rotation here.
I mean, I feel good about it until this comes in, because Pantheon has been very, very good in the jungle. I think that this is a bit of a no-brainer. Sponge did go 0-7, but he finished that game with a quadra kill and they won. So we'll call that. But then the Talia comes in, and so Pantheon-Talia, a very, very famous duo, one that was actually debuted in the bottom lane by CVMAX himself.
Who's standing on stage right now?
Yeah, exactly, on the other side of the rift.
He's not scared of it.
Well,
I mean, this.
He did make it and then lost 0-3 very, very swiftly. We remember that T1 versus Griffin matchup in, I think, 2019
Interesting
summer.
Pivot here from the
J4.
Nico to the Jarvan. It really eliminates a different breed of AD carry rather than looking for the one lane where you could still play the AD carry through it, just have to have a tougher time in the laning phase. I think we probably will see a ban on it if they don't plan on picking it themselves. And the pick priority will be D pluses in this case, so...
Yeah, they'll probably have to take that one away. I think
so.
Lulu is worth a look at. Something like a Karma, because Smash has been very, very good at the Ezreal. And with a composition like this that kind of just wants to go forward, maybe something with a bit of self-peel could be an idea.
I think
the Lucian would have fit into that as well.
Needs to play something that has significant scaling damage. And so they don't want to lane into Smash's Lucian, which has been insane. They take that one away. And I think the Nico will likely follow, just because that also gives you added safety. But it means that you could run into that Karma you were mentioning. And that is something, they can't take away all of those things, right? The bars will get taken away here from Taeyoon, which we've mentioned several times is a big favorite of his.
Now, one final ban to come on through. Whether it is going to be the Nico is the big question on our mind.
Lens is just calling like, no, we got to pick comp. Give me at least, like, we can play this.
And honestly, at least Pantheon kind of works.
I just think that post 20 minutes, this comp doesn't have any legs if you go for the Elise. Let's see what they decide to ban. The Karma will be the choice, actually, instead, so Nico goes over.
All right. So is it going to be the Nico just slammed here? That could be coming on through.
It feels like it's going to be like a Nico into Alistar situation, which means you're going to have to sacrifice the lane, but you're going to hope that that durable Alistar is going to get you through some of those team fights later on with a scaling carry. We'll see what that ends up being.
Yep, and no chance of a Silas as well, because the entire top side has been locked away. Smash taking a while to think about this, though, as we can see. They could also just give counterpick over to Korea, allow him to play whatever they would like towards that bottom side, but in the end, it's actually a Bard lock-in. That is an interesting one. Probably liking the Bard matchup into the Nico.
Yeah. Bard also works incredibly well into D+'s comp, so if Nongshim got their hands on it, it could have been a big problem. I did not expect a Kalista lock here.
Wow, that would be a lot
kind of opposite
front.
Yeah, a lot of this draft would have been kind of like ending the opposite way I expected, but this is going to be the Ezreal for Taeyoon. Ezreal, Leona was the classic, but into the Bard feels really bad. They have so much pick. Like, I think it could kind of work,
You may as well play Nico. Man, there are so many incredibly high-value picks here on Nongshim. That is like 4 out of 5 of like the best on the patch. Probably not Talia, but she's been played a lot.
This, unironically, could be, I was going to say either Sivir because they have the Jarvan. Obviously, it's totally safe to lock it here as the final pick, or actually could have even been MF in this situation, which is rising in priority quite heavily. We're seeing it in solo queue, soaring in win rates right now as well. Everyone is practicing it, but because it's safe and it does incredibly well in this patch in terms of itemization, gets through its lane for free. But the Sivir plus the Rise is so much both wave clear, but also insane late game damage with the front line of this Cassante and Jarvan.
Yeah, and I think the Spell Shield can be very valuable. Into the snare from Nico if they're going to use that to start fights, as well as the Pantheon trying to dive on top of her.
I mean, consider how much mobility this Rise is going to have already with Ghost and Phase Rush, and then the Sivir ultimate allows you to have even more playmaking when that actualizer is realized for Showmaker later on. I think so much of this game is in the hands of Sponge in the side of Nongshim, like where he goes, what parts of the map he can impact, because he'll be able to play with the Talia around the map incredibly well, can try to shut down that Rise that won't have teleport in side lanes. But he has to be able to make those ganks successfully, has to make those Grand Starfalls high value, because every time he misses one or fails to actually get value out of one, the pushing power will be returned in tenfold by Nongshim because, or by D+, because they're going to have that Sivir shoving mid. They commit a fight somewhere, it doesn't work, like turret's gone, Rise, same situation, you're trying to play through the side lane, shut down the Cassante, Rise is pushing the other side, and I think Scout will have to be able to manage the laning phase, be able to match some of these rotations from Showmaker. That was the big trade we talked about at the very beginning of the draft, is that Rise versus Talia. Our best performing Talia against Showmaker's Rise right now. My money's kind of on Showmaker, but that's what this series is all about, right?
Yeah.
Had 2 easy opponents. Let's see what happens when he plays against another world champion in Scout.
Yeah, I actually think that if this was just the drafts and I was looking at them, I'd be like, well, Nongshim easily win this, or Red Side team wins this like very, very easily, just because of how powerful all these champions are.
Breaks.
And yeah, it has to be when Wolf is on the desk, by the way, that we get a toilet issue. This is Korea, so he is very young. It's a very early time for him. I think he can be let off the hook. He gets 1, okay? We can give him 1. If this then means that like Lucid goes to the bathroom as well immediately afterwards,
D+ were the chosen ones. They were the ones that did the what you and I may have speculated, where we completely speculated.
I know, they had so many midi-chlorians, didn't they?
The BM return toilet issue, like where it was used against them, and then they were like, oh, okay, Kanavi, we'll raise you one. Oh, you're back in your seats, you're ready to play again? Oh, wait a second, it's my turn to go.
Oh, by the way, Wolf, chat is saying start the Gamecasters. So, if you could just start it.
You want me to just go get Career real quick?
Yeah, no, chat's just decided that we're starting without him. We're just, they're on a timer, you know, they've got to get to work or something like that. What is it that you've got to do? We zooming
He drank too much water!
That's the culprit! Oh, no.
It looks like it's at least below the top of the
Oh, yeah, that is 2/3 or less full right now. Absolutely.
You know what? Like, my coffee is actually sitting at about 1/3 left as well. But you know what? I went right before the cast.
I've got
Imagine
a full bottle of water. I am ready to be so hydrated. Look at this.
You can't see. I'll cover the logo, but you can't see any coffee in here because I've drank so much of it.
And you can tell there was coffee in there because you can see the residual coffee around the edge.
But you know what? As I told you right before I came up here, which by the way was all the way before the pre-show.
It was.
I'm going to the bathroom before the cast. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the restroom.
He did say that. He did say that.
You know where I'm. If you're wondering where I am. Right, get up there, Korea. Let's go.
Welcome back, Korea.
You got to keep that streak going. Let's do it.
All right. And that is his last toilet issue that he'll ever have for his entire career, okay? Pun not intended.
Like the rune issue last time around, Aftershock Nami, I'm actually more okay with that.
Oh, me too. Mainly because it won. And so that means the stats for Aftershock Nami are kind of absurd, which is very, very funny. Okay, this means that we are now going to be loading up onto the Rift. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, a bit of a reminder of what our drafts looked like with the Cassante into Rumble towards that top side of the map. Could be a little bit scary if you're a Shiyu fan, but Nongshim, they've got a good draft, but they have to play it well. Let's get into it. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for our very first game of the week and of the day. As already our top laners have spotted one another. as Cyanide getting infinite representation on this Jarvan every time. It's the Fnatic skin. And I think it's because the animations are nicer for a lot of people, but it's kind of interesting that we just always get that one.
Feels like we always get this Cassante skin as well.
Yeah, I like that. It's a lot of pretty colors, and I'm into that. Sponge is going to walk over a ward as he starts the enemy Raptors.
Always get this Sivir, but it's the correct choice. So.
Oh, it absolutely is. Pack Sivir is always the one. Still looks cool even after a remake, which I was very happy with. Because I think I bought that skin off eBay years ago. It
has like the, I don't know how to put it, but like, you know, when the old skin looked super kind of janky and blocky, and like, this skin is old. I feel like it doesn't look as much like that now, but they still kind of nailed the aesthetic of like, even though it's a new rebuilt skin, it still has a little bit of that like jaggedness to it.
Yep.
So I think they did a really good job.
I'm into it, especially because it kind of looks old Tron vibed, which is why it's so awesome. And Tron is, you know, an 80s video game, so it does make a fair bit of sense that it's going to hold on to a bit of the jank. Sponge will just be full clearing on the enemy side of the Rift. Same thing to be said for Lucid, so we have some top-heavy and bottom-heavy sides of the map for Nongshim and for DK.
And we do have Lethal Tempo Ezreal, which has been very popular recently, coming through, as well as the First Strike Rumble, no Ignite though, which has been very common.
Yep.
Not in this matchup necessarily, but...
Don't tell Huni that Kingen hasn't taken the Ignite.
Especially
when you get a free teleport.
Huni's going to lose smite.
Oh, man. No one message him. Or do, because I miss him. All right, we do have Lucid making his way towards his top side of the jungle now. But the full clear is almost complete here for Sponge. Pretty quick on the Pantheon so far. As here in the bottom lane, Lahens and Taehyun going very aggressive onto Korea, taking a lot of damage. Good Boomerang Blade to offer a little bit back there from Smash, whose health bar is still quite high. They've got some hot cocoa they can be eating, so it should be all right here. As, man, this is an old matchup. Yeah, good old Bard into Ezreal.
Very, very classic. The Nico is winning out for the time being. Lahens getting a lot of chip damage done. As Pantheon pretending like he's about to Grand Starfall, but he's just recalling angrily. He's level 4, don't worry, guys.
The animation is very funny.
The observers almost looked like they were panicked on that one. They were like, is he going in? No, he's just going back home.
And also both junglers leaving before the crab, which just a bit of a gentleman's agreement there on the pathing.
Showmaker's stats, by the way, I mentioned his insane CS. He is currently 3rd right now in terms of top 5 CS per minute. He's actually behind only his teammate Smash, who has the highest, and Gumayushi. He's actually ahead of Ruler. He has been farming like an insane person. And like
every other mid laner as well it's Ryze stats. Ryze just seems to be farming the most.
Exactly. So Showmaker getting his hands on this one again is somewhat concerning. See how this game does go, because being able to farm and get the most CS means you get the fastest actualizer, which means you get the fastest big spike in terms of late game damage. So I am going to be keeping my eyes on that one, as looking for an aggressive trade here as Lucid comes over.
Yeah, too many 1v1s happening here as Scout is down relatively low. Sponge and Lucid still fighting it out with Showmaker rotating over. Does mean that, oh, never mind. Going to get shoved back here as now Sponge, possible stun angle. And that is going to mean the flash has to be employed here by Showmaker.
Really unfortunate for Showmaker that he has to flash there, but I think he played that super well. Gets the root there on the Sponge as he flashes away, so he knows he cannot be stunned there by a flash stun coming in from Sponge. And ends up being safe as a result, but does not feel very good about what he had to do in order to do so. It's all on Scout, though. Seeing the angle there, Showmaker going around that wall, hits the shove at the exact right moment.
It's a bit cute as well, with Lucid moving up towards the Krog camp on the top side. Some damage here onto Kingen, as Shio finds himself a nice little trade. But Lucid's just going to vacate. And Sponge going to waste a little bit of time here, moving towards his Krog camp that does not exist, as the Wolves are going to be taken here by Lucid on the other side. So
it's like mild
jungle advantage.
Mild existence of the one mini Krug that was left behind.
Ah, yeah, true.
That doesn't delay the camps anymore, though.
Yeah, we could say that it's denial, but it's not. It's just not how that one works. Staying down relatively low, as we can see here in this lane, but don't think that they're going to be too worried about it. He's just looking for a back angle, and will be able to head back home. currently 5 CS ahead, but will not be after that one does come on through.
Quiet early game here, despite the fact that we have two junglers that have incredible impact early. It was just Scout's shove that gave us a potential moment there where we could have had a kill, but it's a summoner gained. A plate will go down here, it looks like in the bottom side, barely. And otherwise, you know, the laning here, pretty much dead even across the board, like small lead for Kingen. The mid lane pretty much dead even, bottom lane dead even with that plate going over. And it's a very quiet and a great game to start things out.
Yeah. The only difference, of course, is Showmaker's flash being on cooldown. So Sponge spotted here on this Raptor camp and could potentially be dangerous. And that's why you see Showmaker hugging the turret for the moment. And so right now with Nongshim having a bit of tempo on the map, Lucid down towards his bottom side to protect his bottom lane.
There's a bit of a butterfly effect from that lost flash, right? And the fact that Sponge is so deadly, even though Lucid has level 6 a little bit faster here, doesn't necessarily matter. They just do not want to play aggressively because of the Weaver's Wall potential when Showmaker doesn't have prio. So for once, we actually get to see it, Talia, even without pressing R, get value out of the Weaver's Wall that she's holding here. Scout is just constantly applying that pressure. That shove was massive, and now the bottom lane feels very free to be aggressive. You can see Sponge as well, putting that pressure on in the jungle. Has a lot of deep vision set up. So Showmaker's lost flash doesn't look like anything in the gold graph right now, but it really is impacting the bottom side of the map quite heavily.
Yep. We can see now as well, there is Scout moving towards the bottom side. Is actually recalling them in that brush. Lucid was considering moving on over. The top side of the map has now respawned, and he will be contesting this red buff. Sponge stole his away, though. And so now Lucid will be able to find him here. Level 6 for the Jarvan. Should mean that he will be able to win a fight up against Sponge, but he hits 6 now off that one little Raptor. And now's a Realm Warp coming in. There's the knock-up onto Sponge as Showmaker turns up. Cataclysm onto Sponge. The flash out from Lucid to try and keep him alive as Showmaker is now looking for a Tempered Fate, and that's going to interrupt the ulti escape, and Sponge is dead. Korea moves over and will be able to help grab that first blood for Showmaker. Beautifully played here by D+.
Yeah, this is a huge win for D+. Getting value out of the Realm Warp first again before the Talia can get anything done with her Weaver's Wall. In fact, opting not to use it there. It was a really awkward fight. The Tempered Fate was the cherry on top. This is a weird battle here, right, in the jungle where you don't want to use your cooldowns, but Sponge ends up using the stun early. So this is, I think, the call for Showmaker to go, all right, well, there's nothing he can do here. And he's just constantly CC. Then the flash away from Lucid is fantastic here. And then Showmaker helps stun it up. Ghost comes out. The Tempered Fate denies the ultimate, and there's no escape.
Oh, well, now Showmaker's dead. Okay. Just barely didn't have his flash up and available. I did want to say as well, the Cosmic Binding onto Scout was really beautiful from Korea to then set up for the Tempered Fate interruption. So playing that one very well was the support. Gets that roam first. As Pop wasn't going to connect onto 2. Here towards the bottom side, Barrier from Smash is trying to help out here, is on the hunt. Gives them that extra movement speed. They're not quite able to layer the damage. And so just going to soften them up here underneath the turret. Oh, just barely missed that one.
That's the worst feeling ever. But and ultimately, I think he's going to be okay with it.
Yep. And also, speaking of ultimately things, it's completely even as far as farm is concerned. We're going to have a look at how Showmaker died. Oh, caught napping. Lead Scout may have just a little bit of a starfall. The double globals being a little problematic. Showmaker has nowhere to go.
Yep. Thought he was safe recalling that far away, but ultimately not. Nobody died up here. Looked a little bit suspicious when we panned back to it, but it's just going to be a Cassante showing back up. Kingen doesn't quite get that plate.
It should mean, as this game goes on as well, Shiu is going to be feeling a whole lot better and better. As the Rook Urn comes in, things like this to get that extra magic resist. And then Kingen is going to have a fair bit more trouble trying to take him down. And then the Cassante could become a little bit of a problem. I did kind of go off Cassante. I wasn't really that much of a fan in 2025. But I feel like earlier this year, Kesper Cup, etc., Cassante's been finding a bit more value. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she can actually do here.
I think that Cassante is a champion that's always going to be great when you have 80 carries that do a lot of damage. And all 80 carries do a lot of damage in this meta right now, as Kingen's forced to flash even as well.
Ulti traded for flash here, probably good for Shiu, you could say, as Nongshim starting off this Drake will be able to take that one as Korea moving over to fight Taeun. As Lucid and Showmaker looking to try and find some stragglers. I don't know whether they'll be able to.
Just D+ could not get enough control over the pit here, and Showmaker's Realm Warp is coming up just now. He has the ult advantage over Scout. Weaver's Wall that came out earlier, but does not have it in time to try to reposition there. And so it's just a free dragon going over to Nongshim in the end. Yep, they got both major objectives there. We'll get the grubs and that dragon here. It will be wind and fire to start things off here.
Ooh, okay. Just need a Mountain Drake. We can start off right.
Casante's hoping so.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, Smash and Taeun. I mean, Smash as well. I mean, you get so much movement speed by pressing on the hunt. It's kind of funny. So, actually, never mind. It's going to be a Mountain Soul. It's not going to be a Cloud, because that one's already happened. I just think about Cloud Soul for every champion. It's just how I work.
I mean, that's what we all do. You just say it out loud. The rest of us kind of keep it to ourselves.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't know. Does that mean that I'm brave, or I'm just like don't have a filter? I don't quite know yet.
I don't know. You say what everyone's thinking. You're just the honest one.
Thank you. All right, Nongshim here. Try and keep Lehens alive, who just pop blossoms the air, trying to keep himself up. Tempered Fate to hold him in position. There is a Pantheon potentially able to come down here, though, and he does press that Grand Starfall button. Smash going to be able to use that spell shield to try and keep himself healthy, and it is going to work out, but that is not the way Nongshim wanted to use both of those ultimates.
Yeah, not really, but Lehens does not have to flash, so that feels pretty good. And Taeun does have his Essence Reaver nerfed on this patch slightly, but...
Yeah, also not going for the Trinity Force build. We have seen that a little bit more predominantly here in the LCK.
Same for Smash. It's both of them feeling that recipe cost increase, which is a big part of the nerf alongside the AD, but both can have it at the same time. Since they're both building it, not going to really feel like either of them are getting hindered by the nerf of the cost.
Yep.
And the game slows down again, right? We did have some action there on the bottom side because Lehens got caught, air quotes, but does end up being just some ultimates down here for the side of Nongshim that can't necessarily be punished with no objectives up. And we kind of go back to the slow patch 26.1, laning, chilling and getting quests done. We do have a 3-2 on that one right now, but we talked about this on Pog, so you guys should go check out the episode. Doesn't really feel like getting your quest a little bit faster in pro play usually changes the game all too much.
No.
Don't want to fall massively far behind.
Yeah, right now it's just, you know, support quest happening a little bit earlier, AD quest happening a little bit earlier, but I think Smash will have his relatively quickly, although you can see taking a lot of damage here. As Korea not going to get slowed down too much here. Does get snared, though, as we can see. Just not able to finish him off, but Taeun's very scary with that first item spike.
Yeah, the reason here... Okay, hold on.
All right, there is quest completion for Smash. We'll be able to now clear out that wave. And things should be A-OK. Able to sidestep a fair few things as well. But this turret is looking a little worse for wear.
The reason why we see so many supports just take heal and spam it in these types of situations, you get so much tempo if you can use it in the right moment. Lehens gets so much value out of it there. Pushes them out of lane, it's on a plate, and are feeling really comfortable. As now all role quests complete here for Nongshim. Sponges up here.
Yeah, Shiu maybe stepping a little far forward. Does try and avoid some of that CC, but he's going to get smoked. Now looking to try and turn this one as he goes all out looking for Sponge. The rest of the team all turn up as well. As the equalizer comes down, Shiu is just fine. As Kingen will be able to get a kill before he dies, but it looks like Shiu will survive. So 1 for 1 here in this top side as everyone called all their mates.
Yeah. And Lehens is back in base. Let's see if they can make a cross map happen. Taeun.
Oh, Tempered Fate is going to hold him in position here. Smash with the on the hunt, trying to set this one up. Massive burst damage with that boomerang blade. As Taeun does have to flash to get himself out of there.
Not too bad here for Taeun, because he does survive, but losing the flash hurts. The reason why it's not too bad is because the wave was crashing, so some farm was lost there on the other side for Smash at the same time, and he does escape. This was just Showmaker and Scout racing to join this fight here, knowing that Jarvan was rotating up. And Nongshim's defense, I think that was played out really well. The equalizer, not the greatest one here, but it is enough to help trade them back 1 for 1. As the kill going over to Shiu as well, not Showmaker, which is not the end of the world.
Yep, I think Cassante getting strong probably going to be a good thing here. Showmaker has found Lehens, and Lehens not too happy about it, as we can see.
Feels like either Lehens or Taeun is constantly just getting chunked out, and they're never able to really fully play together these last few moments.
Yeah, it's like one or the other, exactly right. Taeun, though, has been able to land a fair bit in lane, things like this, keep the pressure on to Smash and Korea, who are down about 10 CS at the moment, about 450 gold, as you can see here, for this Ezreal. And this was the champion that he performed very well on in the LPL. You remember that famous play from him last year?
Yeah.
See whether he can channel.
That nobody watched live.
No Koreans watch.
Yeah.
As we we may have on the western side, but we're not the ones that dictate whether Taehoon is visible or not. That's all right. Korea down to 50%. Smash going to try and get this wave shoved in.
He has a flank angle here, but they can collapse on him. He doesn't have Realm Warp, so he can't like try to sneak an angle here. So I think he just has to hard push the bottom lane, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Now it's going to force a reaction.
Yeah, Tempered Fate is available as well, so Korea can take control of this if they'd like to.
I mean, they're just going to send him in.
Yeah, let's see whether it works. Cataclysm comes on down. There's the Tempered Fate to hold 2 in position as Scout and Taehoon able to hold on, but Lucid just says, thank you very much. Highway robbery here as now the Weaver's Wall comes down. Showmaker trying to flash away, and he's going to be able to do so. That's a beautiful one.
Man, that was such a clean setup from D+, start to finish. And where was this shot calling all last year?
Was it coach voice?
I don't think so. I didn't see the icon.
I didn't see the icon either, so we can give them full credit.
We'll say in the post-game interview that he almost did it there, but he said they didn't need his help.
I was hovering.
I actually almost shot called exactly every moment there, but I decided not to, and they did exactly as I imagined.
And he trusted them, and they came through, and that's the main thing.
I think that this was a really cool heist here for the side of D+, right? Like, they end up really sacrificing nothing for this. Showmaker has to flash, but it was very, very clean. It was a desperate situation because Showmaker didn't have his Realm Warp. He was able to just kind of close the gap there. They set the Tempered Fate so that the Dragon can be smote away, and then they get the escape. That was impressive stuff.
Yeah, really nicely done. And now it's an Ocean Soul, and we're even on Dragons. Rift Herald now going to be what they're considering as Cosmic Binding does go wide, but Sponge taking a lot of damage, throws up the Aegis, and is going to be able to land that stun. Equalizer lands on top of Lucid quite nicely. Showmaker down to 50%, Flag and Drag gets Lucid out of there as Kingen still wants his fight, as it looks like Lucid going to be that target, and he will get taken down. Xiu now off to the side, wanting to try and grab one of these Nongshim members. They do get control vision of this full health Cassante, who's looking pretty dangerous. Seismic Shove not going to connect onto Career as now Showmaker taking a fair bit of damage. And it's just going to be the Rift Herald taken. It's kind of beautiful macro play on both sides.
Yeah, honestly.
As Nongshim just push them away, guarantee the Rift Herald, and they now might be able to get this outer turret in mid as well.
LCK is so good this year. It really is. It's actually so fun. So they basically, like I was saying before, okay, hold on, we're going to have Scout looking for a collapse.
Yeah, Showmaker. Oh, going to get shoved. So he's dead. That is beautifully played. Scout gave him no choice.
Showmaker's face on the player cam as well. Knowing like, Desperate Realm Warp does not work out. I think he knew it was a pipe dream with both the Pantheon and the shove coming. Tried to kind of play around it and still ultimately just couldn't utilize it. So dies and loses Realm Warp.
Well, there's Magical Journey as Scout is going to be put into Golden Stasis. Then does flash away. Seismic Shove to hold on to Lucid here as now Sponge makes his way in. The Pantheon-Talia combo looking pretty good in the hands of Nongshim today as they will be able to take down this outer turret in the bottom lane. And DK, like, you chose this.
Yeah, they certainly did. They didn't have enough damage down there to end up getting the kill, the punish there onto Scout despite committing the Tempered Fate. This is coming out from Nongshim, talking about the 18-minute flash for Jarvan, and Rise having flash at 2020, saying you guys need to keep better track of the summoner spells. So just a moment of commentary there. Moving into this fight here, very deep aggression without proper setup here. Showmaker ends up being the target. The Equalizer cuts this fight in half. Smash wasn't here. He decides to abandon ship as they try to delay. And this is the macro you were talking about. I mean, instantly Smash is just like, I'm Sivir, my time, I'll get some plate gold in the mid lane. There's no one to answer for it. And they are able to at least turn that into an exchange in the mid lane, despite losing the Herald and losing the fight.
Yeah, now you've got an attempted stop on the recall there for Xiu, but he does make it out. Had a shield from his Rukun, so obviously the threaded volley not going to be too much of a worry here. Control board goes over, and Nongshim are just parking themselves where there are turrets to be taken. And Kingen going to turn up here. That means that Korea has to get the heck out of there, and Scout, with now free reign, will be able to get even more money from this turret. Smash tries to do the same, misses a cannon, unfortunately, as we do have Shio on that bottom side at the same time. Lucid makes his way out, looking a bit worse for wear.
There's plate trades here, you know, for Scout and for Xiu, but I think you definitely favor the Talia getting more money, by the way. She has a lot of money, 2,000 gold ahead of this Rise that Showmaker opted into. And, you know, those CS numbers for him, the average, I think is going to be going down quite heavily after this game, as he is just, like we've seen Faker in this position before, just kind of having to sit in this brush and wait for waves, because when you don't have teleporters rise, if you die, you cannot join objective fights. So, you know, you have your Realm Warp, you have Ghost, you can run places very quickly, but if you die, like, there's no, okay, I died, so start Dragon and I'll TP over there like you normally have as a mid laner. So you have to be very careful. Lucid shadowing here at the top side because he needs that third item desperately, and he is nowhere near it. No. Significantly behind Scout at the moment. They are going to at least push Scout off this turret and force a big rotation.
Yeah, Crystalline Overgrowth helping out here, as well as now King possibly getting engaged on by Shu, but avoids the Q very nicely. Still looks like Shu is going to be pretty comfortable here with a lot of magic resist now built up. Does mean that Taeyun does do a fair bit of damage to him, and Sponge can also get some work done, but they're not exactly the greatest champions at cutting down tanks.
The only real, like, extremely fed member, the only big, huge lead, everyone else has a small lead, is Scout, right? So yeah. This game still feels relatively playable here for D+. It's Ocean Soul. They're just going to give up a single dragon here and trade for what looks like eventually a turret for Showmaker. If you're Showmaker, you're like, this is the only play, right? Just sit and farm, scale up. We do have a lot of damage later on. We have a really, really robust front line. He safely Realm Warps out to make sure he doesn't get caught by a Weaver's Wall play.
Oh, speaking of being caught, Sponge now moving down towards his bottom side. There is no turret. And so Sponge going to miss the Q, but I think he's still going to have to flash. Yeah, out goes Shu. Lucid was there, but they didn't really like that 2v2.
There was a lot of missing vision on the map, which is why I think Showmaker decided to Realm Warp out there. And I think they thought there was going to be a collapse from really far away with Grand Starfall and Weaver's Wall on the top side. Showmaker was like, carefully, like, cool guys don't look at explosions taking that turret out, but they went for Shu on the bottom side instead. Without using their global ultimates, Showmaker now down his, but did get that critical gold in exchange for the dragon. You can see that puts a small dent in the gold difference over time here. But time, speaking of, is what D+ really need in this game. They just don't want any more disasters, any more bad fights before then. And that's why Nongshim should start to put their eyes on this Baron and start to threaten some Baron takes here so that they can solidify their 3,000 gold lead, turn that into a one game here. Because if given a significant amount of time, D+ could definitely play this one very close.
Yeah, this is the thing. As Smash gets item after item, right? Already the 2-item spike of the Essence Reaver Infinity Edge is quite large. But on 3 items, the Sivir really becomes dangerous. We'll see whether Taeyun is going to go for the double tier. I think with Essence Reaver, it's a little bit more common, but looks like he's not going there this time. Just going to be going for a little bit more of a classic regular blue Ezreal. And we'll see what he's going to be grabbing third. Might just be Cyrilda's. Okay, Cataclysm comes in as out goes Lucid after losing most of his health bar. Weaver's Wall was there in exchange as teleport comes through from Shiu. Showmaker now off to the side as Scout going down relatively low. Shiu looking for the angle, gets the flash out, so Scout is going to be okay. Gets out of the Tempered Fate as well, but Sponge not going to be so lucky as the Seismic Shove does nothing at all. Kingin not even teleporting into this fight as Taeyun below 50%, able to get control of mid-wave. And Kingin is threatening. I don't think they're going to be able to do Baron because they may just lose a large portion of their base.
Yeah, I think they're just going to have to back up and reset. They got that ward on the edge of the pit, and I think that's enough to say, all right, well, I mean, they're not going to be able to do this. This is kind of a domino effect of this aggressive play from Sponge and Lehends. The Cataclysm is actually so valuable because it ends up getting the Weaver's Wall out of Scout. And then
the Pop Blossom.
Yeah, and the Pop Blossom is used kind of like completely wasted in choke point control that Nongshim have. So they lose everything as Shiu gets the teleport flank. And watch Taeyun, like, he has to get out of here, so he can't offer as much damage as he'd like. He's weaving in what he can. Luckily for him, he doesn't have to flash, but they get the heal out of the Lehends as well. And it's just not a playable fight. That's why Kingin doesn't TP in, because he's like, that just does not look like a situation I can actually turn. I'd rather just get more value in the side. Hold my TP instead. Shiu used his. It's a small win for D+, as the gold still remains relatively the same, as we're not actually seeing Actualizer third for Showmaker, by the way.
Yeah, it looks like he needs the Zhonya's, yeah. I don't blame him for that. Allows you to avoid things like the Seismic Shove relatively well. As now, Boomerang Blade going to be avoided. Double buffs onto Smash. Very close to the third item as well. See what it is going to be. Could be just a Phantom Dancer for a little bit more defense, as Tempered Fate does get the dash cannon out of Lehends. I like that Korea's looking for them, but like you say, it is a large cooldown.
Okay, I mean, we're posturing for Baron. The Dragon is up in 80 seconds here. Scout is constantly threatening angles.
Yep, and Kingin's in position as well. It's a bit scary.
This new, like, Ghost Rise who hides when he's behind this is really funny to watch, but Showmaker is getting larger and larger. You know, normally when you think about, like, that type of contest, the Rise is way up there, right? Like, he's pushing the side and he's trying to threaten, but he's just so far behind. He doesn't have TP because he's taking Ghost, and Ghost on cooldown anyways. He just has to kind of, like, sit and wait for waves, which means he's so behind the 8-ball, which means Nongshim can keep that vision. Career is going to be able to sneak over here and take away this controller, which is actually quite significant. Yeah, the Dragon is not that high value, but it will be soul point here for Nongshim, and even picks like the Rumble in these extended fights will get a decent amount of value out of it. So see what D+ decide to do here when this spawns in 30 seconds, because if they lose the fight here, the gold lead just balloons so heavily, and they'll lose Baron as well. So I think they really need to be quite decisive here.
And I also think going for the fight is a really good idea, because Flicker Blades just came in from Smash. And now Realm Warp is going to come on forward. Showmaker ignores it as Scout makes his way down. That is going to be a missed seismic shove, though. So that should mean that Xiu will survive and holds onto the flash. Smash now with some Crystalline Overgrowth to explode, and that is going to be a very dead turret very quickly.
Get the TP out.
Yeah, Taeyin moving in. There's on the hunt just to get out of there. Equalizer, just going to be a red carpet to allow Smash to leave. And he has himself some hot cocoa waiting for him on the other side.
Smash is like, what? Thanks, guys. I also got the turret, by the way.
Yeah.
Now they can actually look for a real contest here. TP back for Xiu, who's coming over.
Yeah, he's got that big old shield to work with as well. Kingen still with his residual ears. Lucid flashes in. Great triple knockup as there's the Tempered Fate just to buy some space. But it's Sivir getting fed. There is the Dragon going over to Lucid. They'll take down Sponge as well, as it's a double for the Sivir. We said the item spike was big, and it's now going to be even bigger as Nongshim just nothing to offer back.
I mean, D+ is back in charge of this game now. They are going to be able to come over here and start this Baron, and blocking this is a fool's errand. I mean, Taeyu is going to have to hit all the Qs on all the right targets that they want to stop this. It is a very tanky Baron on this patch, but there's no equalizer for 4 seconds.
Yeah, and Smash does so much damage to this as well, but now Nongshim making their way in. Great seismic shot going to catch Xiu there is now Kingen looking for it. There's the knockup on a Taeyin as Lucid gets into the back line. Showmaker able to come on over and offer that damage. And Xiu just looking unkillable right now as Kingen really wants to take down these lower health bars. Somehow all of DK is still alive, by the way. No idea how that one works as they dive on forward and down goes Kingen. They don't get the Baron, but they clean up a bunch more kills.
Yeah, this is, I think, for Nongshim, the best that could have gone. And it's all about that shove from Scout. But going back to this play here, there's just such a big disconnect between Lehens, who wants to try to punish here. Looks like maybe even initially Pop Blossom defensively decides he has to try to use it to peel and goes in. And then the follow-up from the Bard ultimate, right? Career's Tempered Fate just cuts the fight in half. And then over here, Xiu does insane work, but actually it still gets caught by the shove as they are doing Baron live after Lehens.
Oh, Lehens did that thing where he died in the river because that led to a victory last week against Halma Life Esports. This time around, though, it won't lead to a victory, I don't think, because now DK will take Baron for free, and that is going to be all 5 members with the buff.
D+ turning this game around.
Honestly, like, the way this has been played, though, Wolf, in this later stage of the game has just been beautiful to watch.
Yeah, maybe not this part, but...
Well, I mean, I was more talking about DK.
Yeah.
Lehens doing Lehens things is not something that we ever discount. But there is a knockback. Oh, Xiu just picks him up, throws him back into the team, but the equalizer goes down. Sponge, the first one to die here, is now Lucid in the back line. Looks for Taeyin, the wall comes in, but Xiu is already down. And so 1 for 1, as Showmaker has said, I will use my purple buff to destroy their stuff.
He built Shadow Flame, by the way. We kind of thought he was going a little bit more defensive. He was going a different way.
I like that.
And I mean, considering the enemy composition and also the lack of Merc Treads for Scout, feels very good. And we'll be doing a lot of damage to that turret when he does hit it. But you know, you were talking about Lehens, we were talking about art and things like that, and beauty, but, you know, people said Mona Lisa was ugly, but, you know, it's hanging in the museum.
Yeah.
This fight is just really surgical here for D+, and it's just kind of the kitchen sink being employed by Nongshim to try to defend it. They end up getting the kill onto the Cassante, but there's not enough pullback there from Nongshim to really turn that into a larger play. The Baron is still getting significant value here.
Yeah, another 1.5 minutes actually on the buff.
Yeah, I mean, like, these turrets are still up. Like, this you know, inner turret in the bottom lane is full plates. We're not threatening inhibitors necessarily on this push, but the money going to this Sivir, who you mentioned the Flicker Blades, now has the Bloodthirster online as well. I mean, she's just so safe.
Oh, Scout, though, that is a big pickup. Does have Magic Pen and now a Death Cap. So this Talia is going to be doing damage, throws down the wall now, looking for an angle towards Showmaker, who's going to be that first target. He does have the stasis, though, from Korea, whose bot has been so good today. By the way, into the backline goes Xiu. They do take down the Rise, as now Lucid and Xiu just trying to keep the rest of them at bay. Smash now needs to be wary of Sponge, so he will be taking him down first. And Xiu just kills Kingin. Where the heck did that come from? It's Korea. Lucid, I don't know about that one. He does flag and drag, but he is still going to die. There is the Cosmic Binding onto Tae and Korea. You need to be careful of those magical journeys when your friends are around, because they may take them and they may die.
Korea himself, though, like you mentioned, has had an incredible game. Who needs Zonias when you've got the bar?
Yeah, exactly.
As we'll watch this again, it almost feels intentional. The way they set this up, Career is able to get over the wall here, protect Showmaker, and then they just front to back here with Smash. Lehens gets taken out first, and Xiu just runs into the backline at level 18. He and Lucid are just a brick wall. Then eventually we go a bit too deep on this one. It ends up being a trade.
And a lot was used to get on top of Xiu there, but this was a bit of a misplay.
There was a Talia on the other side. And she was happy to accept the gift.
I think it was, you know, the rest of the players didn't pick up their tickets for the Magical Journey. And it was only Lucid, and then he was there by himself, and he's like, you know what, I'm not into it. It's one of those shows that you want to go to with a friend.
Ultimately, this does give Nongshim a little bit of space to potentially get Soul Point. Yeah. And I think they will get it.
They should be able to, down to 2,000, as Lucid not quite able to get in there in time. Let's see whether Nongshim can escape. That's the real question here, is now Korea looking to line up that Tempered Fate. They're all in that Banana Brush, as Xiu just looking to try and hold on to them. And Lehens still on a decent angle, but keeps getting spotted over and over again. Huge minion wave, by the way, on the top side of the map that Nongshim does need to deal with. So what happens when you do waste a bit of time on the Dragon? Of course, I say waste, still was a good idea to get themselves the Soul Point. You can see that's a big wave now being eliminated.
Yeah, look at the wave on the top side you're talking about. I mean, that's plates going down on that inhibitor turret, chipping away at the base. We are getting to what is kind of in LCK, the game state where if you don't have, at this point, an 8,000 gold lead, anything could happen. Because yes, there are some players who have massive leads. Scout has a huge lead over Showmaker still. Smash has a huge lead over Taeyun, but all it takes is the right set of shoves with an equalizer on top of it, and then D+ just lose the fight instantly and the game is lost. So you have to be incredibly cautious here if you are D+. Trying to set up before Baron Vision will be spawning in 90 seconds. That's going to be the next major objective. And so, just going to slow play this. They have insane wave clear, so it's okay to let Nongshim push into them when they have control over the map and just clear those waves and play defensively.
Yeah. And
I mean, with how Lehens has been playing so aggressively, maybe just kind of fish for a defensive pick.
Yeah, and one of the things that needs to happen for Nongshim is these Pop Blossoms need to do something.
Yeah.
Lehens has not really been finding the angles here. A lot of them have been defensive, and a lot of them have just been random. So, need to get it together. Make something happen here moving later on into the game. Win condition is going to be that Dragon for Nongshim. And of course, if they give away another one, then this game is going to extend, right? Like, that's going to mean Elder Drake is going to be coming up at, what, 45 minutes in the game for the first time? Kind of insane.
It is really scary to think of what could happen, though, if D+ secure this Baron. For the damage they've already done.
Oh, Tempered Fate going to hold on to King in here. The Showmaker's moving over. Looks like they're not going to be able to do too much about this, as Taeyun and Lehens were in position. So Tempered Fate now on cooldown one more time. But I do really like that Korea's just been going for the shots, you know?
It's not on an insanely long cooldown, and he is able to sometimes get flashes, has been able to just make fights easy to play, isolate single targets.
Level 19 Cassante, by the way, is it, like, that's a very large health bar.
He has Jack shows as well, so he doesn't really get hurt by things.
He's not really getting hurt by things. I'm seeing that. There is also a GA on Smash, so he's feeling pretty comfortable as well, as Lehens looks for an angle onto Showmaker and does not find it. Gets a flash, though, as now you've got Scout in so much trouble. That's just a cheeky cue from Showmaker. Looks for the Realm Warp, gets it, and then gets into that backline. Is now Kingin looking to try and barbecue Korea. He is definitely the only one that he can really get through in a quick manner, as Sponge fails to flash and gets knocked into Timbuktu. And Kingin, he's running there. This is not exactly looking like the way he wants to go. A magical journey is unnecessary as Kingen is defecting. The rest of D+, just looking to try and end this game as a Tempered Fate going to come off cooldown and go into the Nether. And yes, Kingen just taking them on a merry chase.
I mean, Kingen's bought enough time here to where it looks like they're going to have to use the Baron to end rather than just be able to walk down as 5 and end the game.
Well, he is just going to die because you cannot just try and teleport away in front of a minion wave and a Bard. But the Baron, like you say, is going to be the option instead of just straight up losing the game. So like you say, Kingen, it's the best thing that he could do.
Like, this setup here is so desperate. And it's just like Lehen's ults air, and Scout goes in, and D+ is just like, well, okay. And then they just take the free fight afterwards. I mean, the plays from Lucid here in the follow-up, the positioning of both Smash and Showmaker to help run down these targets was well played, but it was kind of a freebie after the complete sending it that we saw from Nongshim just moments before. Like, I don't want to say they just tossed the game away, but they certainly did not set themselves up for success. Kingen buys enough time to where it's just Baron, but just Baron means probably inhibitors at this stage because the rest of the turrets are gone except those inhibitor turrets. The top side's been significantly chipped away at, and they have a Sivir and a Ryze. They've got great siege here, and Nongshim are going to have a defensive play of some kind, I think, to get back into the game with no teleport as well. Well, they got his Phalite so they can see their demise incoming.
Yeah, that's the problem. They can see that it's doomed in HD, and it's not exactly a 4K. HD is pretty old, isn't it? It's not really a thing that we're really too worried about. As turret going to be falling down towards that top side of the map. It's just the Winions making this one happen as the rest of DK looking to siege up bot and mid.
The top inhibitor's already under siege by minions alone, and it will go down eventually.
Yep. Korea making his way over here as Tempered Fate is going to snag onto the Nico. Lehen's is trying to pop Blossom, but he's still just going to die. Korea is going to be going down as well. Both supports are dead, but these ricochets, man, are tearing Nongshim apart. And Shiu looks like he's kind of immune to damage, which is not what you want to see on the enemy team. As Rumwalp not going to be taken here from Showmaker. He just wants to take down these inhibitors, and all three of them just erupt in a moment. All of a sudden, it's our largest gold lead in the game as DK look to finish off these last couple of towers. Scout just getting hit by ricochets, that's it. And he's already down to 50%. Smash throwing away these boomerangs where he can.
And the cannon minions are really just chipping away. It's only a matter of time. They have to make some sort of play. They're sitting back.
Yeah, we got the zoom in here, just trying to work out what Nongshim can do about this.
They don't have equalizer for a few more seconds.
Ooh, Shiu goes in. There's a Weaver's Wall from Scout, just trying to take control of the situation. Lucid goes in, then he's out. Sponge, speaking of which, he's going to go out via the Death Chamber, or at least via his GA for now. Taeun being held onto here by Showmaker is on the other side of the fight. Smash is completely safe. Shiu might be taken out. Never mind. He is a mega tank, and he is not going to be dying here as Showmaker goes golden, and the Nexus goes down. D+ Kia. An incredible late game performance to take it over Nongshim.
Really great and strong start here for D+ Kia this season. One win away from going 3-0. They went 5-0 last year. Again, this is their toughest composition yet, and there's tougher to come, but you just change the bottom duo here, and suddenly this just breathed new life into this roster. Showmaker individually performing better, right? You have Lucid performing incredibly well, and then Shiu is doing his job. Like, he had a really cool teleport flank, obviously, on the Cassante and that fight on the top side of the map. There's just a lot going right here for D+, all at the right time here at the early part of this year. Showmaker was put down early, but still did way more damage than Talia because he's a Ryze in this game. And Smash, once he got a few of those kills, there were some donations.
There were.
And he was like, okay, I'm scaling, Showmaker's scaling. We've got great frontline. We have insane engaged Lucid. Some of his Cataclysm into retreat plays to completely zone and buy space for his carries were beautiful to watch, not to mention Career popping off on this Bard. Some of those Tempered Fates left us a little bit, scratching our heads, but the ones that mattered and team fights and objectives that mattered were phenomenal.
Yeah, and honestly, like, there are people that can play Bard and there's people that can't. It doesn't really matter how much practice you put in. Korea is a Bard player, and that is very cool to see. Another one here in the LCK. But now it's time for us to take a short break. When we get back, we are going to break that one down on the space, and then we'll have game number 2. See you soon.
트레 있다.
이제 비전파 잡고.
야 킹보 얘네 피 좀 많이 달긴 해 이번에.
나 15초.
이번에 미니언 온다.
이번에 타워 깼다.
이번에 밀게 이거.
이번에 니코만 나와.
괜찮아.
야야야 천천히 해도 돼. 끝난다 이거. 천천히. 가둬줄게. 앞라인부터 쳐. 앞라인 빨리 쳐. 반대부터 쳐 얘들아. 반대부터 쳐. 반대 잡았고. 야 이제 비전 없어 지금.
야 쌈 봐야 돼 얘들아. 쌈 봐야 돼.
좋아.
니 잡았다.
나이스. 야 좋아. 야 니까 탈려 너플.
First pick, they chose that out of their right for first selection.
ROFS.
ROFS?
Yeah. Otherwise, as Valdez often calls it, ROFs. Yes.
Ruffs. Ruffs actually I'm kind of into. All right, so the Ruffers this time around were Nongshim.
You can tell they were the Roffers because they have first pick on red side.
They did, and it also says first pick on the red side over there. So there it is.
The same bans thus far here. Maybe an Azir follows, but this time they'll have the Rise, so...
True.
I'm a little bit puzzled by the Orianna, because now you also feel like you have to ban Azir, unless Showmaker's like, my Sylas counters Azir. That was a counter pick back in the day. It's still relevant, but...
certainly could be some interesting picks in the mid lane if we do see like the Ahri Azir banned away, which we do.
I mean,
the Renekton is taken off the board, so Yunara is up and available now.
Maybe Showmaker's feeling like he's been pulling out LeBlanc again.
Wait, first Jace? No, thank goodness. Okay. Like giving that to Sponge would be absolutely the wrong decision to make. I think he already played it in the Kesper Cup as well. Zambessa is going to be locked away first. Flex pick. Kingen, we know, really loves the champ, but Sponge definitely no stranger to it either.
Yeah, I am kind of wondering where the direction is going here, because now Lulu stocks are way up with the Zambessa pick.
Do you just Yunara Lulu? You could just straight up do it.
I think you might. Like, you could probably just go Lulu, and you could even go for like Xin Zhao if that's the jungle that you want, and then get the Yunara on 3 because they probably don't want to play it into it. Or
oh my goodness!
You ban the Orianna, Azir, Jace, so they can just go for Lucid's Kiana pick, which has been banned against him this tournament.
And Varus Kiana is pretty dangerous in the mid game. So I'm kind of interested to see how this one is going to go. There's the Yunara, and it could just be, okay, never mind. It's going to be the Aurora alongside it. So flexibility for the Ambessa remains, which is cool to see. But Taeyun not going to have the opportunity to play this alongside a Lulu, and it could be that D+ can take a priority support and then start banning away the other options.
Bard's gone, Nico's gone. This is not necessarily a Talia, or sorry, not Talia, a Renata angle. I don't think really into the composition here. They're just going to go for the Nautilus here for career, because the Kiana's already locked in. We know this is not a flex. Doesn't feel terrible, but again, pretty high prio in this situation. A lot of teams would opt for a double-ranged bottom lane to just get value out of Comet and push the Yunara out. Could even be Lethal Tempo Varus in this draft.
Theoretically, we haven't seen it so far yet, and hasn't been as strong on this patch, but could also be an option here. As the Braum is taken away, obviously playing Nautilus into Braum feels terrible. With the Aurora already there, we're not going to have to worry about the very sad Nautilus into a Nivea situation. As the Ahri is taken away.
Now those mid bans are starting to come through. We'll see the Ahri
LeBlanc,
first. LeBlanc, I think, will probably be the next. I suppose Sylas could still work here. They ban the Alistair, though, so perhaps a little bit less likely now.
Really interesting that they've left the Lulu up and available. I believe that's because there is not a lot of engage already put together here by Nongshim. Likely that Kingen just slams a Scion so that they can still play something like a Lulu.
I think that works, though, you know? Like, they end up having so much engage with the Ambessa Lulu, and the lane is so free that I just think it's warranted. LeBlanc was not a surprise to anyone. I don't think you see this ban against 90% of the mid laners in the LCK, but against Showmaker you do. And he just instantly puts the Zoe on the table and says, "You don't know me."
That is so much single target pick though. If this is going to be locked in, it's kind of ridiculous.
Be pretty scary to play Lulu into all this.
Certainly would be.
Not going to last very long against all this damage.
All right, Showmaker was having a little bit of a giggle, but just slams the Zoe. There it is.
CV Max was like, the lock-in button's right there.
Yeah, by the way.
Don't have to give us any suspense anymore.
Well, that would have been to Smash if that was the case. But still, there's the Nocturne. So that is going to confirm Ambessa in the top side of the map.
Okay.
And Leona is going to be there. So with the Nocturne lock-in, that means that there is no engage coming from the top side, and that means that Leona does actually have to happen As let's see what the champion into the Ambessa is going to be here for Xiu. As he's cycling through some weird stuff, or at least Korea is. Let's see what they're actually going to lock in.
It is, I think something like Kennen does make sense, but they...
Aurelia would be funny.
If you go for Aurelia, you're hampering your draft, I think, in so many other ways. I think that the Gwen is going to be very strong in team fights, and what they need is consistent damage, unless this Varus is going on hit, but I don't think that's going to be the case anymore with how they've set this up. I look at these two drafts and I'm like, okay, this game is going to be a one-sided game. I don't think there's any way this game is close. It's either the composition of D+ Kia gets ahead early, snowballs things, running the map with Showmaker fed on the Zoe, the side lane pressure of the Gwen, the Kiana explosive mid-game fights, or Nongshim Red Force have engaged for days and an insane frontline and a Nocturne ultimate and a scaling Yunara. So like, you either win the game early as D+, or you do not win it at all. I don't see any comeback angle in this one.
Yeah, they basically need to blow Nongshim up immediately with the opening salvo or die, is kind of how it's going to go. Because they're very cooldown reliant with a composition like this. We have seen the Varuses, even in the later stages of the game, actually find some big angles. But they're few and far between. Oftentimes, it's mid-game or bust with that champion. And let's see what Smash can do. I mean, Smash honestly has been phenomenal so far in our first week and in game number 1 here of our second. So let's see how it is going to go. As a very eclectic draft here for DK. But of course, it is a 6-0 so far if they do manage to win here. But if they lose, there is still another backup game afterwards. Let's see how it goes. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the rift for game number 2 between DK and Nongshim. Smash with the Hail of Blades, which means that he's likely going towards the lethality version of the Varus, but we'll be able to do some battle in the early game quite comfortably.
You don't necessarily take Comet in every matchup that you're playing in to get value out of the early game for the Varus, because the Hail of Blades is incredibly effective when you're both playing a melee support and your opponent is also playing a melee support, so you can get those extra autos in.
Yep, both of our junglers as well, starting on the bottom side of the map, so likely going to be meeting towards the top side. We did have a bit of a split map in game number 1, where we had invades to start things off, but that's not how things are going to be going this time. As Hook to start us in this bottom lane, as Paddle Start comes out there from Showmaker, but not exactly the longest of range. As Electrocute going to be traded. The area is what Showmaker has elected for this time.
Trying to weave those.
All right, man, there's a lot of battling happening here in this bottom lane. We're just trying to watch the mid lane fight, you know?
Yeah, Showmaker did not have the greatest time into Scout last time around. They did have that really cool early bout where he was able to run more first, but otherwise fell significantly behind the Taliyah. And I think this time wants to maybe snowball the game and hold on to that lead and take over the game with this Zoe pick that we have seen relatively niche still, but making a bit of a comeback right now.
Yep. Showmaker does manage to throw out a Paddle Star as Scout teleports back to lane. Very early teleport.
He's like, I have all the same health as you, and I have a teleport, so...
Yeah, and Trouble Bubble is actually going to connect here onto Scout. And Showmaker also takes the cannon. Beautifully played. Gorgeous. Couldn't have asked for more.
Showmaker is like, why'd I take teleport?
Well, because he can pick up other summoner spells from the floor. Maybe that's what it was. Something like that. As Showmaker does get comboed this time around, and that one's not looking quite as good. Xiu now moving towards Kingen, but the Snip Snip is not going to connect. So probably just going to have to wait for this wave to come in. And right now, things very even when it comes to the top lane.
A very close exchange. Kingen just on the edge of that snip. If it does connect, takes a lot more damage. Looks a lot more favorable for Xiu in that world.
Well, Lucid is going to discover Sponge. The Duskbringer does come in. A little bit of a battle here potentially. The 2v2 could be coming through. There's a hook onto Taeyeon though. Does have to use the cleanse to start this fight off. Smash wanting to try and find the kill onto Taeyeon. Korea turns it. Looks to slow down Lehens. With the Eclipse running, Korea is in a lot of trouble and does get the Shield of Daybreak. Korea so close to dead, but is going to survive. And DK on their last legs here in this bottom lane, but will keep themselves alive for now.
Critically Smash did not have to flash, so that's a summoner spell advantage for the AD carry. Same is true of Lehens, but AD carry having that often feels a lot better. As Nocturne's coming down here, but Sponge is not alone. How quickly can he take Smash out is the question.
Yeah, that's the big deal. Zenith Blade is going to connect, and that means that there is a kill going over to Lehen. Sponge gets out of turret range, though, as Lucid looking to try and chase him down. He isn't going to be able to quite find the angle there. Lucid takes himself a cannon, and that is just first blood going over to Nongshim, and not much of a response here by DK.
Yeah, they are able to get away with it. Sponge the one who was under threat there at the end. And the kill goes over to Lehens. And that is the first kill, the first blood here in this game. Going over to Nongshim, as you say. And we do have a rotation back over for Smash. You know, Taeyun is backing right now, so things will kind of even up a little bit here in the CS department. But a very successful, early punish.
Taeyun didn't get an assist.
Yeah, not entirely sure how that all went out.
It was just, yeah, Sponge and Lehens getting that one done. She was in the mist, but not looking all that immune here towards this top side. Level 6 is about to be gained, or at least half a level away for both of our top laners.
Okay, now we have the big group up for D+ and a Randuin's.
Yeah, there's a hook to start this one off as Eclipse is getting some work done. There's the flash out. Lehens just pops like a balloon. Down goes the Kiana, though, in response as Sponge will get stunned up. Battlestar is going to get spell shielded nicely. There's the flash in from Showmaker, picks up the kill, and then steals a flash to get out. Now Taeyun's dead as well as the hail of arrows rains down, and DK moved to 3-2.
This is exactly how you have to play this composition as D+. You got to fight every opportunity you get. You have to constantly force, and as forced as that looked, I think it was actually a pretty realistic option to look for that follow-up there. The kill going to Smash initially as well, the timing of that snipe was brilliant. He's able to get the first one. Showmaker gets a kill in this game as well. Like, he comes down with the roam, has level 6 now, faster than Scout a little bit here, won't mount it too much. We'll watch this again as Showmaker comes down with Lucid in tow, right? Sponge cannot really get down here, and he's also a level 4 Nocturne. So Lehens, he does what he can, right? Lucid ends up getting traded because of his heroics here, but now Bubble hits. Sponge's spell shield is good, but it's not good enough. Showmaker picks up the flash, so it can flash out, and then Career hits this hook. Career having a great day.
Yeah, is it Career POM? Like, what's happening here?
Might be.
Portal jump here from Showmaker gets him back to where he doesn't want to be. Now Lucid having to bounce his way out, but that's not going to work. And Sponge and Scout making it work once again. 2-0 for Nongshim.
All right, well, we go back to square one in this one. As now Smash, without Cleanse here, does have his flash.
Yeah, Lehen's going to start this one up. Can tank for a while with that Eclipse running, but Career is moving forward. Lehen's is very dead, and Smash is actually alive. So just a dive that isn't really what they were looking for. Taeyun just walking away on fire right now, but Sponge is moving in. Career looking worse for wear now as the Nocturne looking to make his way down, and Lucid wanting to get this one done. Is going to show up. Smash at 100 health, though, needs to be very careful as there's a piercing arrow connecting onto Taeyun. Career likely to die. There's a paranoia. He goes in. Sponge looking to try and make his way out. Dustbringer might be able to speed him up, but Showmaker is rotating down. There is that cue to come on forward, and so Sponge is going to make it to the darkness and into safety.
And if you look at this game state here, you're probably like, well, you know, it's one of those games where you thought, okay, D+ have to dominate early, and the gold is even. Where the gold is on this Fed Smash guy, who's pretty good in the bottom lane.
He is pretty good.
So we watch this play happen here. Showmaker, fortunately, not really a way to get out of this one. Got to go back to where you go with that teleport ultimate, and then Lucid gets picked off here by Sponge in the end. Sponge is probably just like, guys, especially Lehens, when I say guys, like, can you just let me get level 6? Like, he has had to do so much patching of holes in this game. He's like, I'm playing Nocturne. I want to have level 6. He does eventually get level 6 throughout this play as Taeyun is able to nicely, definitely sidestep that arrow from Smash, so this becomes somewhat playable, right? And Sponge is like, all right, I'm trying to keep my bottom lane relevant in this game. Ends up getting hooked here, offers a ton of damage back, and then gets Paranoia from the wave, ults on to the enemy AD carry, so at least gets something back, but most of the gold here for Nongshim is on that Nocturne, so I still feel like D+ are getting done the benchmarks they're looking for in this early game.
Yep, it's what they're looking for. These grubs now are going to be the target here for Lucid. Sponge might be able to rotate down, doesn't have Paranoia up and available, and Supreme Display of Talent is there for Lucid now that he has hit that level 6. Looks like it is just going to be grab one of the grubs and then move on with your life. or at least could be, but he's discovered that there's no one coming, so he's just going to be able to take all three most likely.
Sponge still doesn't have his paranoia, so I think he feels pretty safe if he's tracking that ultimate, and also the fact that there's no one really nearby. End up being able to save his smite for the final one, take all three, which is fantastic for the Gwen, who we haven't looked at in a while, but is really going to be the biggest benefactor of this. Zoe in the side lane, also decent. There's a lot of damage with that auto on the turrets.
True. Profane Hydra now picked up as well as Scout. Very deftly clears out this wave. Oh, now I missed Deft. Showmaker, though, now has an exhaust, and that's a little bit more fun.
Deft, a former D+ player. People kind of forgot about that era.
Indeed. Indeed. It's all right. Oh, of course. Scout and Deft, both former EDG players, which is kind of cute.
True.
There you go.
Lahen's a current Bandle Piper.
He is
going to complete that item with the gold lead he picked up with the 2 kills. And it's going to be relevant if there were to be a fight. This is going to be the Dragon going over to Nongshim here. No contest. Lucid is too far away. Yep. Just not interested in this. And I think when you consider a single Chemtech Dragon versus the grubs that were taken on the other side of the map for D+, definitely feeling good about D+.
Korea, what are we doing? What is the mind game? Standing next to the wall as much as he can, as he does get into the Phalite there. Anchor is not quite going to connect. There is the paranoia coming down as Showmaker. Let's see whether he can get out of this. The answer's no. Bubble does connect, but yeah, if the bubble lands and there's no one there to pop it, does it really land at all is the question, I think.
Well, I don't know if Lucid can make a play here on the bottom.
Flash out from King and Ashiu going very aggressive. There's the ulti back, though, as now without that needlework available, Shiu could be in trouble. However, if you land all the snips, you're still going to have a good trade. As now King in versus Shiu is continuing. Minions are running out as now Lahen's moves over. Lucid diving on forward. Does try and save his control ward, but isn't going to be able to do so. There's the flash in from Lahen's. They get the Solar Flare onto Lucid, and Korea realizes he's not going to be able to help here. There's the Arc of Judgment. And Taeyun able to take down the Kiana. Flash out, Chains of Corruption there from Smash just to keep his support alive. But Lucid, I mean, is making it look a lot like LCK Kiana today.
Yeah,
it's a little unfortunate.
The setup there on the bottom side of the map, like they missed their window. They were zoning them away from farm pretty incredibly well. And there was that moment where they went to clear the control ward as Lahen just like, the danger has passed. Because it certainly had. I think at that point, as Lahen is going to Hex Flash, but there's no opportunity here. Smash had cleanse anyways, but that was a bit of a hard force that completely fell on its face down in the bottom lane. Smash still has a massive lead, so that's a good thing here, but Showmaker is looking a lot worse for wear after that bottom side play, is once again getting ganked here by Sponge, and he gets the sleep, but like you said, doesn't matter, especially because Sponge isn't even under turret. And then here going in, really just didn't need to do that. There's just not enough information here. Lens gets the flash play, stun is real, and Sponge just shows up. It's pretty simple here. Taeyun has his empowered W over the wall.
Yeah.
And like Smash has to use his ultimate here, Career has to flash, just they get even more.
It's not exactly what D+ were looking for there, but going a little bit fast and loose is Lucid so far today. Still, he's farming quite nicely and is going to remain relevant, especially with the very cheap item build that he is going for. Profane Hydra is now done. And I think DK, they should still be able to make this comp work in this mid-game that's coming up, but it could be better as Chains of Corruption are going to come out. Solar Flare is going to hold on to Career as Lahen's uses him to taxi his way out. There is a hook connecting, but Taeyun's going to make his way in, and that might be a bridge too far here as Scout is rotating down and Career is very, very dead. There's an angle onto Scout, but the Supreme Display of Talent is not exactly named well, and Paranoia comes in. Sponge takes the kill onto Lucid, and he's dead for the 4th time.
Yeah, and this gold lead for the Varus is diminishing rapidly as I think this game may be on its last legs here for D+. I know we're only 12.5 minutes in, but they had the tempo, they had the advantage. A lot of the gold, again, was on that Nocturne and on the Leona, but it doesn't matter anymore that the control they have over the bottom side of the map and how many times they've been able to consistently catch the aggression here from D+. I mean, this is a Leona. And Lahen's is just like, thank you for the taxi. And now we're in no man's land. We're still going in. But I get it, because this comp needs to get further ahead. But you didn't have Lucid here.
I mean, Scout was on vision. Like, there is no way that was ever the right call.
I just don't see any call here that's one of good judgment or sound judgment here for D+. They're just like, we need to get ahead. Our Varus is ahead. We need to use it. And unfortunately, that was a second backfire play there on the bottom side of the map. But now this Gwen feels like the only win con here.
And loses out on that trade pretty considerably up against King. And still you can see, Shiu is actually ahead by a massive amount of farm. So that is good news. Maybe DK can leverage that. And there are still avenues. It's only 2,000 gold, the advantage. But if Nongshim starts stringing together another couple of dragons or something like that, then the lack of map control will really start pinching DK.
I mean, when you're down on items as the mid laner, you know, and when you're Zoe, like if you're down against the enemy mid laner, and you don't have vision control, so you can't set traps. Even the idea, like when you look at these two comps and you even cover the gold lead, you're like, oh, okay, Zoe could pick at any point in the game. But if you can't see where the enemy champions are, where you need to bubble them, or if you can't use bubble to zone, you can't really do that. Showmaker's agency has dropped massively in this game already. He hasn't lost his turret or anything like that, you know, the classic Wolf turret. He's looking for that one first still, but it is going to be an uphill battle if they cannot make something happen soon. A dragon is spawning on the opposite side of the map where they're trying to make a play here onto Kingen, who does have his ultimate. Does not, however, have flash, and also Career is lurking by, so this needs to work here for D+.
Yeah, definitely does. They're going to start it. Kingen gets underneath his turret here. His needlework has already been used. See whether Shiu does find the angle. That's a great use of the public execution, but he's still going to be dead because DK just sent everyone.
I mean, D+ have figured it out, okay? They're like, Smash is the win con, he's the one who's ahead. They played through on the bottom side, they made some mistakes there, but they know where their bread is buttered. In this game, they're like, okay, it wasn't working well, Smash gonna have to cleanse here.
Yeah, immediate cleanse does come on down as he throws out the ulti. Scout moves in though, and boom goes the Varus. Showmaker now looking for a bit of an angle. His Career is in position. That is a very dead Aurora. And she will go down. Shiu now also able to take the top outer turret, and Rift Herald will be secured by DK.
This is such a bizarre game state because, you know, I was making the joke about how they're like, okay, well now it's the top lane Gwen, that's the win con, let's play through that, but it actually worked, and that's what we're going to see here in this replay. As they commit Career, they know the dragon is lost, right? They know that Varus is backing. We're not interested in that at all. We know there's going to be a group up on the top bottom side of the map, so let's kill Kingen. They're able to successfully set this one up. Showmaker comes over, has to go to defend here in the mid lane, and Smash buys a ton of time here with the cleanse. Lehens goes in deep, so eventually the Showmaker teleport does come through, and they end up getting the kill on Scout as we're having a fight here.
Yeah, Lehens is in no man's land one more time, does get stunned up by the Kiana, and he will be going down. Shiu is able to snip him up. And that is a dead Leona one more time. Lucid also now with the smite onto the Raptor camp to add insult to injury.
We don't have context, but it's the Lehens barrel art situation.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't...
Hang it in a museum.
The context is Lehens.
Yeah.
And I think that's enough.
But anyway, D+ get the kill on the Scout, get his teleport, and then get a Rift Herald, and now get Lehens, and it's like, wait a minute, is this playable? It feels kind of playable.
I mean, it's looking more playable than it was a little while ago, and that is the direction they wanted to go in. As Rift Herald, like you say, does come down, looking for a charge here, and should be able to at least take a chunk out of this turret. There it is.
Because after the kill topside, Shiu also got the full turret.
True.
With his grubs, as... Yeah, we didn't need the context.
He was in the river, ladies and gentlemen, and that was illegal.
Leona
gets used in mid.
She kind of dies there in those situations.
All right, Taeun did have to press his cleanse button and eat some honey fruit, and he should be okay. You can see a bit of a reset coming on through here for DK. Swifties done for Smash, so if he's not hit by the middle of the solar flare, he's going to be feeling kind of okay about it. Runs pretty quickly on this champion for now. 2 items are completed for both of our AD carries, but a little bit cheaper on Smash's side. And so having these 2 done for Taeun is going to feel absolutely fantastic. Third, of course, is going to feel even better, especially with an Infinity Edge spike. But
well, the Fiend Hunter bolts too is just such a huge spike.
Yeah, very true.
Ultimate in team fights, and I think we've already kind of reached the point where D+ can't 5v5 without a crazy wombo as... All right, wombo.
Yeah, Shiu is not quite allowed to be here. Does use the flash, but there's a public execution, and down will go the Gwen. Does have a few snips in him, but it's not going to quite work out. So that is a Gwen on the floor, and DK looking to see whether they have a cross map, and it looks like they may not.
And that was their one big fed member just shut down in sides. Like you said, there's no cross. That turret on the top side is already gone. Showmaker can't push that one down. A lot of minions will be lost. In fact, it looks like maybe even Lucid was like, should I pick those up? Gotta get Krugs on the way. Just a lot of lost money here, and in 5v5s, Taeyun is going to press R and clean up the enemy champion. Scout's going to zone for him. Sponge is going to zone for him. They also have Insane Engage, so Smash is not safe. Well, he doesn't have his summoners. His cleanse is coming back up. And he was massively ahead early on in this game. He's now 1,200 gold behind. And this is kind of the game state I was alluding to when I said it's going to be one-sided if D+ don't get ahead. It happened in a very silly way, and there was some bumpy rocks on the bottom side of the map. But I would tell you guys my forecast right now is that this is probably going to 3 unless D+ can make some miraculous, like, miracle team fight happen, some crazy pick, some crazy Zoe angle from Showmaker on either of these upcoming objectives. Because it's straight up 5v5s, I don't see it. And now with the Nocturne on 4 kills with Hexplate, Stridebreaker, the Gwen is a side lane threat, but kind of not really, actually, as we've already seen.
Yeah, not as scary now. When Nash's Tooth is done, like, if you leave her in a side lane, then she will just kind of break your stuff. But it's likely that Kingen will be able to respond. He's getting closer and closer to 2 items. I think hasn't been back to base for quite some time. As Taeyun does throw out the Slurkle here, but DK not looking too worried about it. He almost has that cleanse up and available once again, but most importantly, does have Flash. And Scout down here towards his bottom side is going to meet Shu. We're going to try and catch that wave. 20 seconds on this Dragon. Looks to be the next port of call as far as the fight is concerned. And DK probably don't want to give this one away for free, but there goes the Paranoia. Sponge gets on in there. The flash out from Lucid, but I don't know whether he's going to survive. He does get the ulti down, but Smash is not going to live through this one. And all of them just take a nap. Lucid, Showmaker, and Smash dead in the blink of an eye.
And that's Baron here for Nongshim. And Taeyun didn't even really have to do anything. He's like, I'm ready to clean up the kills. They were already on the floor from the combo there as we saw the final ultimate from Career hits Taeyun, and Taeyun's in the air like, okay, but the fight is done. Thanks for the effort, though, as Shiu, it looks like he wants to trade this for a Dragon. Consolation prize here. Yeah, at best for D+, but
I think they will at least be able to get that. But
Scout is like, cool, I'll just take the turret. So I think that's a little bit more valuable than Ocean Soul Point for me at this point. And it's really easy to set up these fights when the enemy just doesn't have any control whatsoever. Look at this TP for Kingen. He's like, I can go all the way to the back line onto Smash. There's so much engagement. The ult from Career is like, I got him. I got Taeyun. Clean it up, guys. Guys, where's my team?
Well, they were dead, Wolf. That's the unfortunate reality, and so is Showmaker.
They got a turret +1 Showmaker, and then a mid turret as well.
Yeah, Nongshim are really starting to run away with this game, and you pointed out already, it's whoever sort of starts to get a lead is likely to be able to balloon it, as Korea not quite able to get through that pesky minion. But even if he had have landed that hook, I think maybe it would have been him that's closer to dead rather than Nongshim. As the siege is continuing, Scout taking plate after plate. The hook is going to connect. Chains of Corruption go down as well. But Kingen isn't too worried. And DK still just clutching at straws for now. I think DK's answer is, let's just keep starting fights and seeing what we can get done. There's the Paranoia. They're looking to try and turn it here. Solar Flare not quite going to connect, but it doesn't really matter as the Kiana is just dead. Some need to work out onto Scout here as the snipes are starting to come on through. Taeyun trying to fight back here, gets the knock-up, does Korea. And now Shiu looking for that angle. The Arc of Ruin is going to slow him up. And it's just so difficult to make something happen. Public Execution snatches him out of the air! My God, that was cool from Kingen. Nice. And Showmaker just takes his 5th death of the game.
Yeah, Showmaker really, I think, had a lot to prove. He had a lot he wanted to show in this game, but sadly is not working out the way he wanted to. And scrappy fights are the name of the game for D+ with this composition, right? They want to constantly try to find picks, find these angles. That side lane situation, Showmaker get a bit greedy defensively here. This is a choke point where Smash is like, okay, just give me a lineup here on Scout. I can't quite see him. That's so frustrating for him. Everyone's so low. He just continues to layer this damage. This is a great ult from Career. Ends up getting the double knock up there. And Shiu just cannot close the gap. And then Showmaker decides, okay, I've got enough burst. I got the sleep. And he pops.
Well, Paranoia comes down. The inner turret is already dead. Flash out from Shiu. The rest of the team are going to show up, though, as DK look to try and fight this one back. Kingen rotating down. Solar Flare is fantastic, and the Gwen is not immune. Slurkle comes in, but doesn't get too much joy here as DK with one missing, trying to continue fighting this one out, but Scout in with a great stasis with his Zhonya's, and Smash just has to cleanse to get himself to safety, leaves the rest of his team in the dust, and Nongshim, I think, are just going to put an end to this game and bring us to a game number 3.
We knew it was going to be one-sided from the draft. We just didn't know which direction, but some arrogance, I feel, in some of those bottom-side plays from D+. Some backfires, and a complete snowball rolls down the hill as Sponge runs away with the game on this Nocturne.
Yeah, Sponge playing a fantastic game this time around, but Nongshim ultimately just getting it together. I think top side of the map definitely playing well, but it's the mid-jungle today for Nongshim that are definitely looking the best. Even in game number 1, looking fantastic there despite the result, and here in game number 2, able to actually get the result they were looking for.
Let's not forget, like, Lehens was going in, he was going in big time. Like, he was constantly forcing, and Sponge was always where he needed to be. He's like, man, I'm supposed to just be farming, but here I am on the bottom lane again at level 4.
Yeah.
And, like, it worked. You know, they were able to get enough gold on him. They kept, then, you know, being able to catch the aggression out of this Zoe from Showmaker, and Career, he had no restraint in this game on the Nautilus. Sometimes it worked out, but for the most part, just ended up feeding Nongshim a lot of money. They already had the more scaling comp, so D+ just kept trying desperate Hail Marys, and eventually they ran out of steam, and we have a sub-24-minute game here. 6 minutes under average here as Nongshim bring us to 3.
Yeah, and the Qiyana situation remains where it was in Korea in 2025, and that is in the bin. This champion just hasn't been one that we've been able to make work. Maybe Kanavi can do something on it because he spent most of his time in the LPL. But we here in the LCK just can't seem to get the Qiyana to work out. Lucid is going to join that exact list, but still, DK with another opportunity here. They will have the right of first selection moving into game number 3, and we'll see whether that will lead them to a less weird and wonderful draft, perhaps, as we look into that 3rd game. But it's Fearless, so we could have some really fun picks as well. Make sure you stick around. We'll have the space to break down that game number 2, and then we will look forward to game number 3. We'll see you soon.
구해. 노플. 천천히 해도 돼, 천천히.
야, 조이 왔고.
아, 08초. 빼면서 볼게 한번.
빼면서 봐, 빼면서.
그래. 좋다.
해볼게.
안면서 들어가줘.
나 궁었다, 나 궁었다.
나 다이브 보고 싶어.
나
다이브 볼게 그냥. 볼게.
너네 킬 봐.
조이 수면 없고.
타워 캐자.
아, 녹았어.
타워 캐.
아, 나이스.
오케이,
맞다.
As game 1 was not as extremely obviously risky, but still was very risky, so now also opting to give first pick over to Nongshim Red Force. I think we'll see some different bans here, but CVMax, you know, started the year off great. Let's keep it that way with some, you know, obviously we can't run drafts back anymore, but sometimes CVMax's run draft identities back.
Yeah, that's the problem, is just run back another version of a similar style of draft, but with worse champions is not necessarily what you want to be looking for either. But we're going to be remaining with the same first couple of bans here, as Poppy is going to be a deviation. See what that means as far as what is going to be banned away.
When you ban Orianna on, you know, when the enemy team has first pick, you are also saying I'm banning Azir,
Yeah.
and also I'm banning Jace. You're basically saying I don't have 2 other bans. They are just going to be the same ones again. So zip bans might change, but in fact, they absolutely do not, as Jace will 100% be banned with Malphite and also the Scion ban.
Well, we did say that CV Max has been doing some weird things, so maybe this is the time where the Jace actually slips through, and it will for the very first time.
This time to think about what comp they want to run, but apparently they're thinking about just giving Sponge over the Jace, and I think probably a bit stunned here are Nongshim. We'll see how long it takes them to lock it in, or if they're like, this is a trap, we don't like this.
Well, I wrote it in already, Wolf, and it is going to get locked in. And so D+, they need to have an answer to the champion that hasn't been allowed through all tournament long. It was the entirety of the first week, and this is the first time that we have seen it left up and available. And D+, now they have to show us exactly what their response is going to be to this champion.
I mean, they definitely have an answer. Okay, this answer is very basic. It's not that creative, as Smash takes a big deep breath there, knowing that this game is going to be about him on the solution, the acceleration of it. Now with Kalista Renata, did you just slam Milio? Because remember, a lot of Enchanter supports, like the main 2, like the Bard, Nico, are gone. Karma Lucian doesn't really inspire you, unless, well, I mean, except with Karma's Inspire abilities. But doesn't really inspire you in terms of what this draft is looking for. Lucian, Nami.
I mean, it has to be like Nami or Milio, right? They're the only options that they really have.
I mean, the Milio was a Keria exclusive. It's otherwise been Nami every time. Now, everyone hope that Career locks in the correct rune and does not pick Aftershock again.
Yeah, we'll just have to see what is going to happen there. But now, next round of bans to come on through here, as both teams are looking for some solo lanes. Not likely that Kingin is going to be playing the Jace. He has been pretty much a jungler since those buffs did come on through.
Yeah, he's 100% going to be playing the jungle in this situation. So, what do you want to take away?
Never mind.
They think this could possibly be played in top lane. I find that very interesting.
Quite odd. Maybe Lucid feels like the Vi matchup is playable into the Jace, and so wanting to take away any option to pivot out of playing it in the jungle. Kingin, of course, is a pretty competent Jace player himself.
That's true. I'm kind of wondering what Scout is going to be playing in this draft in terms of safe, long-term damage to empower the late part of this composition here for Nongshim Red Force. The Ahri gets taken away. Ahri Vi with Lucian is an incredible all-in composition. Not quite as all-in as the last game, but it is very strong at getting tempo early and holding on to the game. See if we see one more ban on jungle here. Take away something that is going to be a little bit tankier. But you could probably just focus elsewhere. But this draft is like, for D+ here, it's very obvious. It's very straightforward. They're like, okay, I don't want to deal with Wukong. And
it is very interesting that it's double jungle bans when we assume Jace is going to be going there.
And the flexibility is still there, right? And Nongshim are kind of like, well, maybe, you know, now we have a different top lane pick that we weren't necessarily expecting to lock in. They'll take away the LeBlanc from Showmaker again.
So Victor is a champion that they could possibly be playing. The mid lane pool is the one that's the thinnest at the moment, with 4 mid lane bans already on the table.
Is it like Lissandra for Showmaker?
Oh, that feels like no damage at all.
Yeah, no, I just don't think this is a great situation here. As going to be top Zahin.
Okay, that's what she was looking at least at the moment. That'll be blind, most likely.
It is pretty tough to play that into Jace as well, so this is kind of an interesting call if they're assuming that Jace is going to go top, or perhaps they just are saying, look, play Jace top, there's not anything left for Sponge in the jungle, and the Vi is going to be incredibly powerful and dominant in this early game, so they're forcing Nongshim Red Force to make a choice, because the Jace top into the Zahin feels so easy to play and so easy to set up, so tempting. But instead, it will be the Gnar, which is still available here. We also know Kingin could have potentially played GP in this situation for a lot of extra damage later on. So, D+, the read here was jungle bans, and I don't think they really got anything out of it.
Whoa, that's blind Akali. Okay, now what is Showmaker going to do into this? I think he probably wanted to play something like Syndra but Syndra into Akali sounds somewhat difficult.
I think he wants something with CC here.
Yeah.
And somehow a lot of damage as well. I don't think the Anivia is necessarily what he's looking at here, but it could work in this draft, I suppose.
Might be an option.
Twisted Fate.
I mean, that's a classic.
The
into
golden
the Akali
CC button. And yeah, into Akali. Amazing as well. His ultimate value is going to be pretty high in this draft.
Does mean that they don't have a lot
weird.
of magic damage, as Twisted Fate isn't exactly oozing damage, but they do have a 1-3-1 win condition that is pretty difficult to deal with. The culling as well in a pinch can clear out waves and things like that, so you can set yourselves up pretty well.
I think if
for a
you
1-3-1.
get ahead, if you get ahead, you are in a phenomenal position as Nongshim Red Force here. And you have the Gnar into the Zahin, you have the Jace, which is going to make anyone's life miserable. All he has to do to gank, by the way, is just drop an Empowered Shock Blast. That connects. It's like, all right, cool. I'm moving on. I have insane clear. I can do whatever I want. And so the situation is very good for them in this draft. But I'm kind of wondering now, like, how do you play this Twisted Fate composition? Like, you need to control sides, you need to control the Akali early. It's one of Showmaker's best. Obviously, he has a skin on this. You have the Vi. The setup is there to burst with the Lucian, but Smash cannot get caught. They need to hold on to lead. They need to hold on to map control.
Well, see how it does go. As ladies and gentlemen, game number 3 between DK and Nongshim. Nongshim with advantages in both of the games, but DK were able to eke out the win in game number 1. We'll see whether Nongshim can take control this time and not let go as we get into the rift here for game number 3.
미니언들이 생성되었습니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the rift for our final game of the series. Still, of course, one more waiting. The DN Supers versus DRX coming up after this. But first, you have to see who's going to win between Nongshim and DK. Is already Korea taking a little bit of damage. He's otherwise not going to be too worried. This is going to be a difficult lane for DK. As Showmaker already losing out on the trade here. As Scout procking that electrocute, feeling pretty fantastic.
Showmaker just has to use his ranged advantage and try to get as much damage done as possible. He went Unsealed Spellbook, which is incredibly common on Twisted Fate. There's a lot of different summoner spells he's going to get value out of. And he has... His ultimate is practically a teleport, so there's a lot of different setups you could use with it as well.
Well, Smash seeing what he can find here is Nongshim playing very aggressively with their positioning. Ebb and Flow working out quite nicely, though, as DK do have the sustain advantage in this lane. Nongshim certainly with the early damage potential, especially as level 2 does come through. Bailout, things like this start to really make it difficult. As Nongshim, what are we doing here? This is kind of crazy. They're underneath the turret. Lehens is dead, but so is Smash. And so they deny so much of the farm.
Yeah, that ends up being pretty worth here, ultimately. He's going to put him in a significant CS advantage. They also get first blood, so that absolutely works out. The bailout all in, pretty common to see. And, you know, there's not really much outplay there, frankly, for Smash and Career. They have a level 2 advantage. They push this wave in. And Smash and Career are just like, all right, how many minions can we get? Can we get level 2? Can we get level 2 in time? Lehens uses the bailout, and the Rend comes through. Taeyun walks out.
Yeah, so that is money onto the Eddie carry. There was the kill traded back for Smash. It's not like Korea picked it up, so could have been worse for DK, but it is still definitely bad, as this bottom lane was going to be a huge point of power here for Nongshim. That's only been confirmed. We can't necessarily see it in the gold or anything like that, but the advantage that Taeyun has is certainly high. Shock Blast is going to connect. That is Sponge's first gank, as we could see there. And Lucid now going to be moving on over. And Sponge is just going to push him out of the area, and it looks like Lucid is just going to say, all right, I will be leaving. Top lane scuttle he could go towards. That is, I assume, where Nongshim think he's going, but he has moved down towards this bottom side and is actually just going to be recalling.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what Sponge can get done here with this Jace pick. Has been terrorizing everyone. Oh, there's the Shock Blast.
Yep,
and
that's the gank.
In a one lane where you already have a lot of control. I mean, not in terms of the lane is over, but in terms of they have current push and prio. They're currently winning the lane. having that extra damage is going to be pretty significant. And he just goes ahead and takes us back and heads towards Krugs on the top side, as Xiu is not enjoying the early game in this matchup, as Zion doesn't enjoy most ranged matchups.
Yeah, it's looking like a little bit of a tough time here, as the Boomerangs are being very frustrating. We'll be able to get himself this Siege Minion, though, and level 5 helps top up that health bar just a little bit. You can see it's a little bit of an advantage here for Kingen as far as gold, but big one is Sponge, as Aqua Prison is going to connect. Fair bit of damage onto Lehens. Does need to be a little careful.
Yeah, Smash has Barrier, Lens has Flash. I don't think they can make anything of this. Lens will be able to channel this back and get away. Very scary moment there, but gets to hold on to the lead for now. Taven, that is.
Showmaker does have his Catalyst done, so he's feeling pretty safe here in this mid lane.
Lens trying to bait something. He still has Bailout, by the way, so you really have to be careful about trying to force.
Yeah, there is Smash. Not going to get hit by the Logistics Protocol, as Nongshim not going to push their luck any further. We'll just go for a little bit of a reset, as Smash and Korea have been able to somewhat stabilize in this lane, only about a wave behind for the moment.
Now, this game is really going to open up when Lucid and Showmaker get their ultimates, 4D+. Because otherwise, just kind of Showmaker generating a passive gold lead with his passive over Scout, and the rest of the map kind of Nongshim favored, right? Nongshim have the Gnar advantage on the top side, as you guys can see here, even Mega being utilized to grab this first plate. And then in the bottom lane, we see that Renata trade has really favored Nongshim, and they've been able to maintain an advantage there. We'll grab this first dragon. So for D+, they're on the back foot technically, but they're kind of supposed to be for right now. We'll see what happens again when those ults come online, and how they can coordinate team fights and single target CC and the blow-up damage that Smash holds. Because if they can get him ahead, he gets his first item online, starts farming, starts pushing the Kalista out of the mid lane, and D+ have a real fighting chance in this game. I'm not 100% sold on this strat for D+. It feels very freestyle.
Yeah,
but they kind of got something in the end.
Oh, Bubble going to go wide here as we've got the Jace moving down. Smash taking so much damage as that Shock Blast connects, but they're not quite able to lock him down. So DK, they will get the flash out of Korea. Otherwise, not too much more. Nongshim really putting the pressure on in this early game, but haven't been able to translate that into a gold advantage just yet.
Yeah, that's not quite, but always threatening. Level 6 on the horizon here for Lucid, as he is looking for that Scuttle on the top side. The rest of his jungle is spawning, as well as Blue Buff just came up.
Yep.
So he'll have level 6. Showmaker has his, obviously, as well. And you can see Kingen is playing back defensively now. And he picked up a Cull. Kind of knows that his early game is poke and chunk with hyper procs into this Zahin, and then once the ults come through, he's just going to play a little bit slow. Look to be a secondary AD carry threat really later on in the game, as well as additional follow-up CC.
Yep. There's a Gnar into the wall, as Xiu, of course, does have his passive, so he's going to be fine. But still, this is... We know that Zahin can really get some stuff done in later game team fights. We've seen it already utilized. I believe Kingen actually had a pretty good performance on the champion last week. So we'll see whether Xiu can do a similar thing here, as has been able to pick up some control of the wave, at least for the moment. Cull buy for Kingen means that he is just happy to sit back and farm and make things happen later on into the game. There's a bit of a ping onto Scout. Cease and Desist is now available for Lucid. And so Showmaker moving up the lane. Might be baiting something here as he does lock the gold card.
And Scout just gonna hold his ground. That's the end of that for now. Okay, here we go.
You can see him. Shock Blast going to connect.
That's all you gotta do.
Yep. Once again, it is just more money. And with First Strike there, I mean, every time these Shock Blasts land, Sponge is just walking away that little bit richer.
It's crazy how accurate, these players are after playing, Jace has not really been played in the jungle for a really long time. As Lehens and Taven looking for something. Yeah, not gonna happen. Ward gonna go down. I was gonna say, like, we've doubled the Korean Jaces, at least.
Hey,
we're close, because there's a lot of mid-Korean Jaces as well, but we have added a significant, at least 50% more Korean Jaces to the pool.
There are a lot of them.
And they hit those shock blasts. They're pretty good at the mechanics.
And we did have Lucid down towards that bottom side when both of the level 6s were hit by Nongshim in that bottom lane. I got a little bit worried that we'd have a little bit of a fight, as Destiny to come forward here from Showmaker, who just throws out a gold card and doesn't find too much more. Kingen hops away. And that is all she wrote on that one. So first Destiny not exactly finding any joy.
That was super awkward because Showmaker has a whole wave to catch, but the grubs are being taken. Prio in mid and top side, and the bottom lane is still Nongshim controlled. Nongshim are really starting to pull ahead now.
Well, Lucid will be able to steal away one of the grubs. That is something, as Smash trying to get some work done. Hostile takeover comes in, and Smash is going to help take down Korea. That is going to be the Ren pulled out, and Taeyoon going up to 2-0. Cease and desist in the meantime, though, onto Sponge. A lot of damage there as the burst is enough to take him out. Shia now looking to move on over as Kingin wants to get involved in the fight, as there is this... not the supreme display, the perfect execution from Scout, but he will be going down, and Lucid somehow survives as Kingin not able to get his boomerang to go far enough, and now Shio able to dash over that wall. Showmaker does still have the flash, and he flashes over the boomerang to lock down Kingin and take him out.
Certainly a big sigh of relief for D+ fans after that one. A huge win on the top side of the map after this 2v2 goes awry. Smash drops his ultimate out. It's avoided entirely by Fate's call. Then the handshake comes through. Follow flash here. Not really going to be too impactful, but it's enough to get Taeyoon in there. Smash has no mana. And then watch how this fight breaks out. Initially, it looks like, okay, they've got this under control. It's very difficult to play this 4D+. The ult comes through from Lucid. And instantly Sponge is deleted. He's not very tanky. He's on the Jace, right? Now Lucid shield here for flash as well. Just enough. Just enough.
Man.
Scout just cannot take him out. King cannot close the gap, but he's chased so far in order to try to do so that he ends up going down as well. I believe D+ got 2 of the 3 grubs. Showmaker flashes the boomerang so he doesn't get slowed. Takes him out there, picks up all that extra gold. Let's take a look at the grubs. Yeah, 2 of the 3 in D+'s favor now. Keeping the gold close. Desperately needed team fight.
Absolutely. They're not out of the woods just yet. As Lucid moves on over, does get spotted by that Sentinel, and Sponge is going to move in. Gets a bit more money as the culling goes largely to Narnia. And DK will just have to try and be wary of Nongshim in the area. So much vision here towards this bottom side as the second dragon is now available as well. It's likely that Nongshim can head over there and lock that one down as Lucid will spot that there is vision all over the place. But Showmaker, as he is the one with a massive gold advantage, does have his Rod of Ages now completed, and now the Destiny comes in. Gate comes down as well as the Wildcard's doing a fair bit of work. There's a tidal wave to lock down too. The bubble is there as well, and they just evaporate at the hands of D+.
Yeah, very clean setup again from D+. Really not much that could have been done there once the initial salvo comes through. This combo, incredibly powerful. We've said it for years.
Oh, ulti comes down here for Shiu, but Kingin just does the walk strategy to get out of the way.
Little emote to remind everyone that, you know, he was hoping that one a little bit different.
Yeah.
Scout on a flank here, but I don't know if he can really accomplish much. Hoping for the Shock Blast, I suppose, follow-up.
Yeah, does manage to find the Shuriken backflip there, but Lucid is going to be absolutely fine. And he just gets himself over the wall, and out they will go. But the main part of the story is 3-0-2 here for Showmaker. This guy is now gigantic.
He's got his Dark Seal.
Yeah, and also a cheeky blasting wand and an amp tome on top of the fact that that Rod of Ages is already complete.
Look at this setup here. Lucid gets handshook back, doesn't care. Showmaker has the gold card, and they just have everything. Like, they have the tidal wave coming through, the gold card to set it up.
And it was max value for everything in that moment as well, as now gold card onto Scout. Lucid once again going to catch him gorgeously with the Vault Breaker, but this time, this time he's going to go down, but it's a trade 1-for-1, and now Sponge having to run away. Thankfully, there was control of the top lane, so Shiu wasn't making his way down, as now Korea looking for an angle. Ebb and Flow gets his health back up again, but you can see that health bar is not exactly the largest as a whole, so Nongshim still with a fair bit of control of this bottom side of the map.
It's a bloodbath, as we will have the mid plates going further into Showmaker's favor. His lead that he has, that he's generated, is getting bigger and bigger, and obviously with the passive, he is going to just be so huge. And when his rod completes, he is going to have another spike there as well. Bit of an opportunity here, potentially, for an all-in on either side. Lehenz's handshake is really the first ability that has to hit for Nongshim. And if it misses, D+ will definitely follow up here with the tidal wave back up. Showmaker gets almost the entire turret.
It's kind of ridiculous, the amount that they had there, as Shiu gets the pullback. There's the ulti. This time King is not able to avoid it, as Sponge is moving up, but there's the kill solo for Shiu, and Sponge doesn't want anything of it. Relentless pursuit to get out of the way of Lahen's toss-out takeover comes in, but it's another wave, and this time it's from Career, as Taeun does manage to dodge out of the way. He's got the bailout, but it is not going to be enough, and it's a 2v2 win for the Lucian Nami in the bottom lane.
All right, big wins here for D+ now on both sides of the map at the same time. And it's the Zahen angle here on the top side. Well, we'll start off with this play first, where Sponge ends up getting caught. Sponge is super squishy, obviously, on this champ, but can buy some space with the hammer, as we're not done yet.
Yeah, Smash is dead, ladies and gentlemen. There is the Hammer to the Skies. A teleport came in from Kingen as well. Smash was very dead.
He is certainly in the death chamber now. Anyway, that last skirmish ended up going pretty well for Showmaker, and Lucid once again bought a ton of time. Still a kill went over to Scout, but he did his job incredibly well. And, you know, they get the kill with the Zahen on the top side. Kingen didn't have flash, has it now, but gets flashed on by Shiu. Well, he doesn't have it. So he ends up picking up a 600 gold lead. And this Gunblade looks really cool. We all love Gunblade. You know, all waiting for it to come back. But the curve of this game, it's feeling like that second item. Plus the rod, plus 10 stacks of Darksteel. The Gunblade looking like it's not too sharp. Maybe it doesn't have ammo.
I think if there was only one item on his opposition, it could be fine. However, there is not quite parity between our mid laners in this game. Of course, cheating a little bit is the Twisted Fate, as he does like to print a bit of money, but this is looking dire, and especially with the Lich Bane coming in as item number 2, that is a lot of damage potential here in side lanes for the Twisted Fate, as Lucid is going to push Sponge away. The gate had come on forward, and Showmaker spotted on that ward, so not going to hit those wild cards, as now Career takes a large amount of damage from Sponge. Is this going to be once again the Malphite situation, where the champion gets banned all the time, and whenever it gets played, it loses?
Well, the game state looks like that might be where we're headed, although
oh God, never mind.
Has made a huge impact. Like, yes, he is not winning the game, and you're correct in that one so far. Like, the game is not looking like it's in a very one position by Nongshim, but every time he hits an empowered shock blast, I'm like, yeah, I see why that's banned. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep, there's certainly some avenues. As now Showmaker and Scout facing off once again. Rift Herald going to get started here by Nongshim. Full vision available for DK.
Very different from the Malphite, because the Malphite, you know, his losses looked pretty bad. We're like, ooh, I don't know if this does anything. But in this, it's feeling like it's doing a lot, even in a negative game state. Let's see if we can do a lot in this fight.
Yep, Smash getting so much work done, as there's the tidal wave to get a massive amount of value itself. Fate's Call does come in to keep Lands alive, as the bailout is not enough. And it's 2 for Smash. He does get taken out here by Scout, though. The perfect execution is pretty good, but Showmaker finds the gold card, and Shiu is going to be able to find the kill. As Scout's out of buttons and out of chances. King in there on the bottom side, trying to get something back, but it's another one-team fight for DK.
Yeah, DK picking up 4 on this one, putting their gold lead into 3,000. Sponge was able to secure the smite on this Herald, but otherwise wasn't really able to do a whole lot. Easy initial target here. Offers some damage back onto Lucid, but there's just so much free space for this Lucian pick. Scout is able to take him out ultimately in the end, and also gets his flash, but he has to give his life for it, so feels like, you know, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Rocking a hard place, so, you know, one of those buzzwords. It's, oh, I got him, but does not necessarily really feel like a good thing. King in here, desperate now on the 1v2.
Yeah, gold card gonna get the flash out for it, and a point-blank culling from Smash. Try and lock down King, and he's very dead. That's gonna be the kill over to Showmaker, thanks to the Lich Bane. As Nongshim looking for the cross map here in the mid lane, they should be able to get it with the help of the Rift Herald, as it's now down exceptionally low. Turret will be taken, but now Shiu is in for the wraparound, looking for that angle. Try and take down Nongshim, but I think DK have decided against it.
Well, I mean, if there's a push up from Smash, they certainly could try to make something of this, but instead he's just going to say, you know what, back away. I'm going to grab plate gold. She will not follow the order to back away, in fact.
Well, the rest of the team are making their way over. There's the knock-up with the help of the tidal wave, and with Shiu there with the passive. And they will be able to put Lahen's in the bubble. They take him down, and now Lucid is fighting the rest of them, and this time he's going to stay alive. Ulti comes forward from Shiu, but Sponge, oh no, the gold card, and that's going to spell his demise. 2-0-5 now for the Zahen, but 8-0-5 for Showmaker on the Twisted Fate.
Yeah, Showmaker, I mean, when you see that damage hit the chunks are huge. Like, he is actually so fed, he can basically just clear waves instantly as well, so he is just going to be able to freely push sides, which he's been doing so much of. By the way, they won that fight in that skirmish without his ultimate. It's online now, and maybe we'll see a collapse onto... I mean, look at this damage already. Scout has Merc Treads. Tier 3.
Well, there is the Destiny once again. Spots where everyone's going, but gets the teleport out and says, all right, Kingen, welcome to the lane. I will back away.
I think Showmaker found the pick today.
I think so.
You know,
I think he knows this one. This one we've got some experience with.
I think he knew Zoe, but the comp was just too risky. The execution wasn't there, but he is really just going back to an old favorite in this comp. I mean, Smash, like, he is so good at Lucian. It's been one of his best picks. And, you know, career likes the Nami, as we've pointed out multiple times. Xiu
is going to struggle to hold on to his passive, I think, in this play. Let's see how he can actually do, and it looks like he's not going to be able to offer anything back. Down he will go.
Let's see what the
didn't actually have the passive available, so never mind.
Gonna see if they can get this turret here, maybe some plates and a inner turret. I just don't think they quite have the wave here in mid. If they can buy some time here, Showmaker will start to really hit hard on that top lane. He's got the Lich Bane. Look at how quickly that turret went down to 1 plate. He is so huge, 4,000 gold ahead. I mean, there's not much to say about this game except Showmaker big.
Yeah.
Good luck, Nongshim.
That's succinct, Wolf. I actually really liked that. That's basically telling the whole story. He's got the Forbidden Book. That is what he went and purchased.
Because this comp for Nongshim isn't ahead and has a big problem in this massive Twisted Fate, which when Showmaker buys Majai's, his win rate's got to be like over 95%. I know I always talk about this, but like it just ends up being true. But
Lucid is the same level as Scout. This is kind of ridiculous.
Scout, run.
Yeah, Cease and Desist will come on forward. And yeah, I don't think the execution is all that perfect. And Showmaker is going to pick it up. That's a Lich Bane proc, and that is a dead Akali. As the rest of DK now looking for an angle. The Destiny, the Gate. That's what's coming on forward here as they're looking to lock down Sponge before anything else happens. As Taehoon might be able to take down Smash, and he does. Hostile Takeover is going to connect, but Chi is still so dangerous. There is the knock-up, and the bailout is not going to do anything at all. It's the Nami that locks up Taehoon, and Lahens is now in no man's land. Kingen still hasn't really been involved in too much so far this game, but does manage to at least get a wave shoved in. And there's the pullback. She is going to be able to lock down the Renata. And ladies and gentlemen, this game is really running away from Nongshim.
It's starting to feel like this one is just locked up.
It's also our 3rd Ocean Soul in a row.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to talk about it, but
that's too many Ocean Souls.
Very boring. There's a lot of CC in D+'s comp, and it all links together, right? I mean, okay, ult him, gold card him, punch him, he's dead. Oh, but Lich Bane proc. And then
it was Lich Bane and passive as well, so
when you look at
it's just very dead.
When you look at like the situation for Nongshim, their CC is Fate's Call, question mark, handshake, Jace Hammer, Narvar. But Kingen's playing KDA Kingen in this one. He is not joining. He is not coming over with Nar. No setup. It's really easy for D+ to just walk around, pick people to kill, and press the buttons and kill them. Taehoon has done a lot of damage this game, but how much of that damage is really effective damage in team fights when we're not seeing team fights is the real question.
Yeah, not seeing much of it. As Nongshim will at least be able to get this wave shoved in. The Baron has spawned a couple of minutes ago. I don't think they're going to be looking for that, as they do at least have vision control around the area. 1-3-1, certainly an availability here for DK, especially with the advantage that they have with how strong this Zahin is. Xiu is pretty scary at the minute, as Showmaker moves up towards the top side using the Destiny, I believe, just to get a little bit more information. And the rest of DK now looking for an angle here as Lahens tanks up the culling for Taehoon. Still, it's a lot of damage from this Lucian with 3 items almost complete. Tidal Wave comes down. Fate's Call has to be used defensively as the bubble was looking to try and catch Lahens out of the air, but it does not quite work that way. And Nongshim still just backing away as DK move further and further towards their base. Yes, Korea takes a lot of damage from Shock Blast, but the problem is not a lot of it's really sticking.
Yeah, it's like a lot of Shock Blast damage, a lot of Taehoon damage up in front, but they just have too many ways to kill targets outside of 5v5s that we aren't seeing.
What's doing there? Doran, explain it.
I
don't know.
It's a bit of a...
Sometimes they just want to go on a merry jaunt around the top lane.
Sometimes. Baron has spawned. Now, it's a 2.5 item Lucian when he hits his IE. I think they can really take that Baron out pretty quick. But at this point, you know, still with the Twisted Fate comp, sure they can see the rotations coming with the ultimate, but they don't have that right now. They're just playing it safe. They have such a lead. There's no reason to put all of your eggs in the Baron basket here and potentially allow Nongshim to come back. That's 4,000 gold over Smash, who is the second highest in the game, as
and
the carries are online.
5.1 thousand ahead of Scout. That is a lot of extra items that we can see. It's only 2 that have been built here.
And both of them are, you know, very gold effective. I mean, the Arm Guard is expensive, but it can literally save your life and give you...
I mean, it's basically a Zonya's, right?
Yeah, and then the Mejai's Soul Stealer at 14 stacks is a bargain, as Nongshim are just going to take their own Desperation Baron here and say, look, you'll have to 5v5 us if all 5 of us are on this Baron, so come and do it.
Destiny comes in, spots Kingen looking for Showmaker here. Does get on top of him as the rest of DK are going to show up. Lucid gets into the pit, a teleport forward from the Zahin as well as Sponge. Takes so much damage from that culling. Hostile Takeover does absolutely nothing at all as the bubble is fantastic. Lucid goes in, just punches the Renata to death. And Taeun then has no option. He did have the bailout running, but it's not actually going to do anything at all. It's a double kill here for the jungler from DK. Sponge gonna go down as Career finishes him off. And Kingen versus Showmaker wasn't looking great for Kingen on the outset, and now Shiu's going to show up as well. There is the gold card, and down will go the Gnar. That's Baron, that's a clean ace, and DK, they're looking like they'll get revenge after game 2.
Does look that way. It was pretty cute to see Kingen get the Sterak shield, and then, yeah, he knew his TP was going to get airdrop. He's like, I'm going to get a massive shield. As watch Kingen in the beginning of this fight, he just zones Showmaker away. He has his Narvar in a pretty good spot. If he's able to maybe come over and impact this play with Narvar, I mean, that's desperation. Or rather, the desperation fight here for Nongshim requires engage, and like they don't have any ways to lock down these threats, so it's just Taeun who dies as they desperately try to get something done without any CC, and just a meat grinder here, even without Showmaker. I really like, you see the shield into the other shield, it's like, well,
Yep.
야 금세야 앞으로 쫄려 판단
Great job,
지렸다.
team.
다 잘했다.
That was really good, Showmaker. This is how you use coach voice, by the way. You just wait until the game is basically over, and then you call them and let them know that they've done a great job. Said Smash, really good job there as well, dashing forward, playing aggressively. And DK definitely have been playing aggressively in this one, as now they look to try and siege this bottom inhibitor turret. Shiu doing the same thing in mid. And the plates are really just evaporating. Twisted Fate really makes short work of turrets.
Is there a chance he could fully stack this Mejai's?
Well, I mean, they just need to win another team fight, and he probably will. As now Culling just looking to try and kill Sponge. It almost does.
Showmaker's like, let me touch him. I need the stacks.
Well, Shuriken backflip, not really doing too much here as, yeah, inhibitor turret will go down. Kingen looks for the angle with the ulti, but Shiu is just going to shrug that one off. And 2-level advantage here for the top laner as well. I mean, this game is very much out of Nongshim's hands now. It's going to require a big mistake here from DK. As Lucid, not going to let that one happen as Shiu decides to dash in. Let's see what they can actually find. Double pullback as the ulti comes down as well. The Destiny comes on in, and down will go the Gnar. Scout looks for the backline, but Showmaker is going to try and hold him in position. And God, the damage is repugnant from DK. Another swift ace, and they will be walking away with another victory here in the LCK Cup.
Thank you, Nongshim, says Showmaker, for letting me put the final pages in the book. The Death Note is complete. D+ will close it out in a 2-1 fashion. Nongshim looking for the sweep, but they could not get any steam in that final game. Game 1, the closest of the 3, that we had 2 back-to-back slugfests where one team got massively ahead and overpowered the opposition, but it was all about Showmaker in the end. Career's Nami was really good.
Really good.
And I'm kind of like,
I mean,
was his Bard good enough for me to give him POM? I am giving some consideration to it right now.
I think it's a really difficult one because game number 1, that was a very hard one to work out. I think Showmaker was great on the rise, but I think that Korea certainly stole a lot of the show, and Lucid looked absolutely fantastic.
I think I have to give it to Lucid. I really, really wanted to give it to Career. Showmaker's Zoe performance, I mean, it wasn't necessarily his fault.
I mean, it's going to be a Showmaker.
Yeah, but I couldn't vote for it after like everything that happened in the grand scheme of things. But when Showmaker finishes Mejai's and closes the series out, we know at least where the bottom row is going.
Yeah, we definitely do. And honestly, I don't feel bad. Like,
fair. No, it's totally fair. I thought about it.
this is the thing. When Showmaker gets a vote, you're just never too upset about it. I think that's a large reason why Chovy got a lot of votes, because you're also not all that upset when Chovy gets them either. As Korea, fantastic game today. Honestly, like, looked really, really good on the Bard. And the Nami, as we've seen before, without Aftershock, actually looking even better. It's crazy, isn't it, Wolf?
It is. You know, this is a D+ that is climbing up the ladder a little bit. Toughest series so far. I think draft was their biggest enemy in this best of
I would
three,
agree.
But
It's a classic CV Max conundrum.
yeah, but the Game 3 draft worked out. The execution was good enough to back it up. But I think against Genji and T1, who are their final two opponents of this group battle, we're going to have to see perhaps a little bit better planning.
Yeah.
As that one really did feel, like I said, freestyle. Felt like they just kind of threw it together at the end. They're like, oh, Showmaker, you play Twisted Fate here? He's like, I play Twisted Fate anywhere. And then, you know, with all the single target blow up they had, they got a lead. This was a backbreaker, unfortunately, for Nongshim, as Scout's like, I got him!
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little unfortunate. Not quite able to finish it off there. As Showmaker here down towards his bottom side, this was the lane that Nongshim were actually doing okay in. But you could see, like, every single button that DK pressed in that little passage of play got maximum value. This tidal wave as well from Korea was absolutely fantastic. And so much of this AoE CC that is largely skill shot based from DK was why they were able to win so many of these team fights. And it looked really, really good. I mean, maybe Korea was the right choice. I hope he gets a vote or two.
Yeah, I really do as well. I think pretty much anyone could deserve a vote, but Lucid was it for me.
Yep, I think Lucid, Korea, Showmaker, all of them having a great day today. I think Smash also.
Yeah, Smash all right in all three games. It was a bit of a tougher one in game 2, but he was the one who had the big lead.
And it happened, Wolf. The Jace got through, much like the Malphite did, and then lost.
It looked really good, though. I think this comp just needed other forms of engage.
And I think Blind Akali is probably not something you're allowed to do into Showmaker.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's allowed. I think they learned that.
Yeah. As they're all saying their thank yous and things like that, very, very cute in the comms. As CV Max utilizing coach voice for what felt like the first time here in this LCK Cup.
It is
just
impressive.
to say, nice job, guys.
It is impressive that Smash was still able to outdamage Showmaker, despite Showmaker having that huge lead and how much he was chunking. But this comp was a Lucian comp that had a Twisted Fate, but it very quickly became a Twisted Fate comp that had a Lucian.
Yeah, and Showmaker, wherever he showed up, was just picking up kill after kill after kill. This is one of those champions that really does snowball, and Showmaker is going to be able to collect the player of the match. Not a whole lot of surprises there, but I am very intrigued as to where some of the other votes went. You know, is it unanimous? Did everyone go for it except for Wolf? Or maybe it's something else?
There's no way, right? I mean, I guess it's a small way. Like,
you never know.
I'm gonna put my comment in after this. I'm trying to figure out how to cook on it, as I think Lucid deserved it, but I also think it could have gone anywhere. D+, I feel like it's not fake news just yet. You know, like I'm not like, oh, okay, well, this series was a reality check and maybe they aren't that good, but I also still want to see what they look like against Genji specifically.
Yeah.
Genji, also a team that D+, even in their worst of times, plays really close, so that should be a pretty good series.
Yeah, and against T1 as well, who have been playing pretty fast and loose so far, I think that matchup is also really, really fun to look out for. But of course, it is going to be the Genji match that is going to be coming up, and that is going to be their toughest opponent because, of course, Genji domestically. There is just no team that's any better. But now it's time to have a chat with Showmaker, so let's throw it over to the Lol Park stage.
Thank you very much, guys. This is here for the POM interview translation, joined by Showmaker on the side of D+ Kia. Congratulations, Showmaker. Who shall stop D+ Kia? This is your third consecutive win, so how do you feel? You know, right before today, Nongshim actually won against Hana Life Esports, so I thought they're super strong, but it's such a relief that we were able to win today. You know, you won the match, but it was such a close series that it must have left a bit of disappointment. So what's something you wish was different? I think the first and second games, there are so many incidents that I wish we could have done better. And in game 1, D plus Kia's chemistry was spot on. You guys trapped, froze, picked your enemy, and then ran. So shall we pull up the replay? Do you remember this part? Yeah, right here it was our Dragon team fight, a crucial moment. And Lucid said that he was going to trap the enemy, and he did that. And then we noticed that the Dragon was really low in HP. So we were trying to pick someone, but instead of trying to plan something ahead of time, I think we were just really on our feet trying to think. Yeah, and I think Lucid made the really good calls. And in game 3, you guys left Jace open, who had been permanently banned. So he's been banned 26 times, which with the rumor that he is OP, maybe DK actually thought otherwise. So why did you let him free? You know, in the solo queue, Jace definitely is infamous in scrims too. And I think we were really just trying to weigh out the risk and benefits, and we actually ended up doing that. But I think there's definitely ways that you can deal with him and handle him. So that's why we were able to make that kind of move. And you pulled out Twisted Fate as the TF skin haver. You guys picked him last after seeing the enemy comp. So can you explain the strategy? I think there are a lot of champions that they had that have no immunity to the gold card for Twisted Fate. And by 18 minutes, you got 3 core items. So how did you do that? You know, I was on my feet running around and roaming a lot. And I think Twisted Fate has really good movement with his global ult as well. So I think that's what really allowed me to get there. And in game 3, CV Max left some positive feedback. He said, "Nice job, great you guys. How did it make you feel?" You know, he actually said that he wouldn't be using coach voice, but we heard his voice and, you know, it made me feel, oh, we're doing really well. Thank you. And with today's result, you secured another win for the Elder group. And it's quite neck and neck, so any motivational message for your fellow Elder teams? Yeah, fighting, DRX, thank you. I mean, you guys are doing really well. And your next opponent is the leader of Baron Group, Genji. What is your mindset for your next match? Oh, I'm sorry. I'll do my best, thank you. Looking forward for D plus Kia to keep their winning streak. And that's the end of the interview with Showmaker. And back to the space. Thank you.